YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Juvan.
This is Juvan's Knife Flicks. 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 Everyday carry for your viewing pleasure. We just having fun together. Haters try to say we weird, but we doing better. Knife community is all that matters. Welcome to the Knife live stream. Be yourself, say what's up, put the knives up. We on the stream, have a good time. Welcome to the Knife live stream. Be yourself, say what's up, put the knives up. We on the stream, have a good time. This is Juvan's Knife Flicks. 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 This is
Play. Late night patty whack, give a dog a bone. Grab a snack, sit right back and never be alone. It's time for Insomniac, sit and spin. A knife live stream and a gathering of friends. Insomniac, sit and spin is about to start, so come on in and do your part. Juvan's Knife Flicks is the channel you seek for new knife reviews and a show every week. Fight. Insomniac, night, patty whack, give a dog a bone. Grab a snack, sit right back and never be alone. It's time for Insomniac, sit and spin. A knife live stream and a gathering of friends. Insomniac, sit and spin is about to start, so come on in and do your part. Juvan's Knife Flicks is the channel you seek for new knife reviews and a show every week. Fight. Insomniac, night, patty whack, give a dog a bone. Grab a snack, sit right back and never be alone. It's time for Insomniac, sit and spin. A knife live stream and a gathering of friends. Play. 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 Insomniac, sit and spin, about to be live. Hanging with each other, talking shit about knives. We sit and we spin, and we vibe in the chat. We listen to Juvan just trying to describe where he's at. It is a good time, but who is this fool who talks about knives and EDC tools? Insomniac, sit and spin, a weekly live stream. You're in the right place if you know what I mean. Insomniac, sit and spin, a weekly live stream. You're in the right place if you know what I mean. Insomniac, sit and spin, about to be live. Hanging with each other, talking shit about knives. We sit and we spin, and we vibe in the chat. We listen to Juvan just trying to describe where he's at. It is a good time, but who is this fool who talks about knives and EDC tools? Insomniac, sit and spin, a weekly live stream. You're in the right place if you
know what I mean.
Went out so are you high on cigarettes? And when that stuff runs out, you're gonna wanna make it. Are you high on cigarettes?
Let's watch two wrongs witness and get high on cigarettes. Let's watch two wrongs witness and get high on cigarettes. Let's watch two wrongs witness and get high on cigarettes. Let's watch two wrongs witness and get high on cigarettes. Do you know that you're right or wrong? 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 He don't smoke 'em, but he loves it when you do. That's why he's high on cigarettes.
Back in my bag, yo. Conscious. ISO. Dumb. Back in my bag and I gotta brag, I do this shit for real. When we was down and we had nothing, we had to share a meal. We put the shit in overdrive with no steering wheel. Shorty throw that thing back in a pair of heels. Yeah, and she be riding on that thing like a Ferris wheel. Yeah, I love them dark skin, brown skin, caramel. You know I had to bring it to the hood like she Karen Civil when she keep on turning head. Cause when she walk that thing jiggle, and we going back to back on them like we Huey and we Riley. This that back in my back.
Harvey, want anything special for your birthday?
Just a decent cup of coffee.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Honey, your coffee's undrinkable.
It's pretty harsh.
Well, so's your coffee. You know, the girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plates. Well, see you later.
And he didn't even kiss me goodbye. You know, if I could just make a decent cup of coffee, I could relax. So, relax. Why don't you try Instant Folgers? Tastes good as fresh perked. Good as fresh perked? I'll surprise Harvey for his birthday tonight.
Hey, great coffee.
It's Instant Folgers. Doesn't it taste good as fresh perked?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey,
What is going on, kids? Happy Tuesday. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can see me. What is up, everybody? I guess it's not even midweek yet, but it will be in a few hours. Glad everyone's here. I'm going to say hello. Then I've got some stuff to show. This is very, very cool that I'm checking out. I've got something to unbox that Brother Ryan sent me to review. And, yeah. Got some knives to look at. Got some stuff to talk about. And then just find out what's on y'all's mind. I hope everybody's having a good week. Let me start at the top and say hey to people. Brother Marco is always in here early. Good to see you, Marco. Brando's Blazing Gear. What is up, my brother? The man, the myth, the one and only Richard Hopkins in the house. Good to see you, Richard. Paul Mills. And Richard's a channel member. So is Paul Mills. Channel member Paul. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're having a good week so far. A good Tuesday. Early on. I've got to go to court on Thursday. So for running a stop sign last Monday. So I'm kind of bummed about that. But I'll get over it. Who else is here? Neil McKenzie, channel member. What is up, brother Neil? Good to see you, man. I hope starting a little bit early is good. Help some of you guys that go to bed earlier. We got 1931 Leatherworks. I got a package from him today. It's got a cool little addition, some of his wax that he's doing. Very cool stuff. Terry's always the man. And if you're looking for leather goods, Terry can make it happen. He's doing all the fret sheaths. I've got 3 of his sheaths. Right here. because your fret, when you get a fret, touches a lot of hands. So after it goes to Kyle for sharpening and cleanup, comes to me for photos, make a little content on it, and I ship it out to the owner. But they've been awesome. I've got to eventually get one of my own up here. So I've always got it on the table. But today I've got my trick or treat Kaiser mini harpoon, which I've not usually been a big fan of Kaiser Halloween knives, but this one, look at the tang where they cut it for weight relief. It looks like a jack-o'-lantern. 3V, and it's got a little Halloween sheath. Why is my camera's doing funky stuff? I don't know if y'all saw the Halloween stuff. We'll get into it in a little while. Kaiser had a couple of pieces I think that are home runs. I think this trestle in carbon fiber in 14C is a great value if they're still available with titanium bolsters. It does have the trick or treat in small letters on the blade and a little ghost. But this one's got a little ghost instead of a pumpkin head. But just cool knives. They made the mini bulldog with a jack-o'-lantern face. And this is a Nitro V. Really well-designed cutter. Not in just the Halloween version, but they make a lot of versions of this knife. And then this is one that I don't think is available for sale. I haven't been able to find it anywhere. It is a drop bear with an acrylic haunted house on it. Pretty basic, but then the cool one is this drop bear too. So one side's got micarta, the other side's got acrylic, and it's got a plunge lock instead of a bar lock. Kind of whimsical, kind of fun, not that expensive. Throw it in your drawer, take it to the Halloween party, whatever the case may be. Then I got a really cool knife that Brother Richard gave me when he was visiting. Little Lex Rex Customs. I'm probably saying that wrong. Micro Chunky or Chunky Monkey, Chunky Mini. I'm terrible with knife names. But look at this little full tang, rock ground, small little street scalpel with a really nice sheath. I mean, the quality of the sheath kind of speaks to the quality of the knife because he did such a good job with it. The retention, the details. Fantastic little knife. Thanks again to Richard for that bad boy. And Richard also gifted me a knife that Lefty used to rave about that I've never experienced. It's a tiny giant mouse nibbler. It's a finger flick knife, little fidget knife, M390 aluminum, liner lock, fifth pocket knife because it is a little guy. But it's got that Jesper Voxnez inspired design, really nice tall flat ground blade. Wonderful little knife. Get back to my hellos, and then I've got the regular Kaiser trestle. And I say regular. This is the Vanguard version. This is not the version I would have picked out. This one's in Damascus. They do a really nice stainless Damascus, but you can also get this in 14C in several different finishes. And I've got one here in the leather slip. I showed this to my buddy at Knives and More that do a lot of traditionals. And I've carried this knife constantly in my left pocket, even though I don't use a slip joint as much as I used to. It's a very well-made slip joint, and it's a good value on a slip joint. Kaiser's impressed me on that front. There's Marco. Marco, I don't know if you heard me say hi to you earlier. We got 1931 Leatherworks in the house with a link. Let me go over here and find the link. I can't click links in StreamYard. Let's see this. Ads. I don't have the ad-free YouTube. I've got to get it again. All right, we're gonna watch this in a second. What is it? Sorry, guys. That's good stuff. Okay, we'll come back to that. I've got it pulled up. We've got, I said, hey to Brando. Burnt Relic, what is up, brother? Burnt Relic and I have been trying to communicate, and Brother Richard can speak for where I've been with my dad. It's nuts right now, but no need to worry about that. He's hopefully won't call in the next little bit. And then Marco is sharing double wide EDC, which is our brother Mad Yako. Let me get back to the link. Where you can get a bunch of different, you can get wax for your tools, you can get hanks. I think he's starting to do some knives. All right, where's the link? It looks like he's also got a email feature where and he will send you updates, kind of his newsletter deal. What's going on with my share screen? So this is Yako's. He's got his Mad Wax, which is a good blade wax, micarta conditioner, leather wax, beard wax. Usually they work on all those things. And then sign up for his newsletter, subscribe to his mailing list, and I'm sure he'll mail out updates. He's got a picture of Terry's Orlock and a link to it. This is 1931 Leatherworks design. It's in a box over here that we're getting ready to open in a little bit. I actually reviewed the prototype, and they look to be selling very well. So well that Concept is one of my, they're really good to the channel, and they'll let me pick the knives that I like to review, but instead of just sending me knives to review. And I'd asked them when I did the prototype about the Orlock, and when it first released, I asked them about it. They were very apologetic that they just they were moving fast. And they didn't have any more in the review tent. So luckily, my brother Ryan Ellis picked up two because he's going to do some modding on one of them, and he sent me one before he gets to work on it to review. So I'm going to get to see how it compares to the prototype, and I can tell y'all it's a great knife, fantastic knife. We'll look at it here in just a second. Let's see if I missed anybody. I don't think so. Let's go down. There's Geek Machinist, channel member. What's up, Geek Machinist? Good to see you, brother. We've got Bart Relic is in the house. Michael Up Church. What is up, buddy? What's up, dude? Jim Miller. Jim Miller is the man. Jim Miller was kind enough to let me borrow his Hogue deck of two, because I've got V1s and I needed a deck of two to do a scale video on. And I appreciate that, Jim. You're the man, buddy. So many of y'all come through for the channel. I try not to need too much stuff, but like Ryan Ellis knows to send me, he's got a surprise knife in there. I know what it is. I did not know it was available, but very cool. I did a video yesterday on an Amazon sale. As y'all know that are Amazon junkies like me, it's Prime Days on the 7th and the 8th. And the Concept store has a couple of really special deals. If you're on Amazon or look at the video, for one, a knife that I really like, this is the Model 6. It's got a really unique, reminds me of a base Kennison blades because the grind's taller here towards the tip than it is at the heel. But it's a very comfortable liner lock. G10, I want to say it's I think it's 14C. It's either 14C or comparable. It's a decent blade steel, and it's very, very inexpensive, as are a lot of knives. Any knives that you're looking for, random fixies or a random multi-tool or a shovel, whatever you're looking for. Right now, Amazon's got some really good deals. So take advantage of that. And if you go after one of these concepts, you can get there through the link in my video. If you want to, but you don't have to. It's always nice when I get that surprise ting that somebody used my link to buy something hopefully they liked. And that's a great thing too, as I kind of go off on a squirrel brain about if you're not sure about a knife and you've seen videos on it, but you want to try it, but you're just not 100% convinced. Remember that most of these knife retailers, River's Edge, DLT, Blade HQ, they've got very liberal return policies. So if your knife doesn't meet your expectations, doesn't fit your hand, you can return knives. I've never had to do it, but I know a lot of people who have done it in the community. So always know that drop bear, that's rare, buddy. You get 1 out of 100, the first one made. Congratulations, bro. Now that was his batch number. That's an inside joke, Jim. I think you got 1 out of 100 too. Who did I miss? Who did I miss? Yeah, Richard's been Richard's they've got the coolest life. They travel through different, they got a 3500 and a nice live-in camper on the back of it, and they just roll and kind of plot their course as they go. They left today and headed up to the state park here in North Alabama. Sierra Rick, good evening, buddy. But yeah, delightful people. Carla puts up with Richard, and they really are a very balancing couple. They you can get a couple that work together, or just like my last relationship, we just kind of naturally worked against each other. They're much more yin and yang. It's a win. Sierra Rick's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. He's saying hey to everybody in chat. Y'all give Sierra Rick some love. I'm hoping I get a special guest that stops through chat sometime tonight. A friend I went to school with, a young lady who, Kathleen Smith. You get another, she started watching a couple of videos. She knows nothing about knives, but I think she was really impressed with what I've told her about the community and how everybody's just kind of here for you, right? It's just kind of a group of us that get together, like channel member Joe Isabella and channel member Kathleen Smith, and just check on each other and hang on to each other and realize that life's short, and talk about knives and do that too. Cause that is the basis that drew us here in the first place, maybe. But when she comes in, if she comes in one of these nights, I'm going to introduce her to y'all and know that she's not a knife person, but treat her with much love, cause she is an absolute great egg. One of my dear friends. And I know that this community is so welcoming that she could get a lot out of hanging out with us just by being here. Oh, Kathleen, I'm so glad that you get to stop by and just say hi and think about you. And I'm glad when I see you in other lives. I was in Molly and Jason's live Sunday. I think I saw you pop in there. I wasn't able, unfortunately, to type. I was doing something else. All Caps is in the house with his Steal Your Face logo. Hey now, dead to the core, all day, every day. That was my college hobby from 1988 through 95. I took in 65 Grateful Dead shows with Jerry. Didn't ever go to the Dead and Company. Did a lot of Widespread Panic. Did a lot of Allman Brothers Band. A lot of jam band stuff after the Dead, but the Dead was my main college break focus. That's where I'd travel. Richard and his wife travel to national parks to do cool stuff. I traveled to different stadiums. I've been to Oakland Coliseum. I've been to Wrigley Field. I've been to trying to think of the name, Red Rock several times. Not to see the Dead, but to see other bands. But that usually was what my traveling, instead of doing the responsible thing and seeing the sights I'd go to historic places and be in a coliseum or in a parking lot at a dead camp for a couple of days. But it was great adventure. No harm, no foul. So what we're going to do, I'm saving this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you. This is a knife that just came out. It is pricey. Mr. Designs. I've got and have bought 2 of their knives. I met Mihai on one of Lefty streams a long time ago. It's a father and son design team. And this knife right here, the Titan, it looks like a bar lock. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it looks like it has a bar lock. That's not a bar lock. That's a totally new locking system. It's a full-size knife. It's the biggest Mr. I've experienced. It's in Magna Cut. It's got almost a 4-inch blade, hollow grind. All this information, I'm going to drop this information in the chat so you can read about it. And then I'm going to show it to you in a second, and I'm going to review it, do an overview of it tonight. That's my plan. I don't think I have anything for tomorrow. I might do a different video tomorrow, but I want to get this back because this is one of his stock knives, and they are in stock, so they're not pre-orders. What's up, Palmer Conley? Young man, good to see you, buddy. As I scroll by, I don't want to miss you. I think I said hey to all caps. Hey, I used to, Trey's the man. Fish, I love several of their songs. I never got into, I'm one of those weird guys. A lot of people don't get into Dave Matthews. Somehow Carter Beauford got me into Dave Matthews. Not like I was into others, but I get it. The Fish is great. But y'all check out Mr. Designs, and we're going to open that in a second. But what I want to open first is Ryan's package. This is Ryan's lender. And one of the things in here I asked for, and he'd gotten another knife that he turned me on to, originally a knife that I'd kind of lost touch with the company altogether. All right, so the one I want to look at most importantly is concept, but I've also got Kershaw. So I'm going to set the Kershaw off to the side. And what we've got here is we have got the Orlock. Designer Terry Cure III, which is 1931 Leatherworks. I know him as Tactical Terry, the man, the myth, the legend. Got a model number. This is the Damascus blade, blue anodized titanium with micro rock texture is this particular variation. Now, when we were looking at the Orlock earlier, there's several variations. Let me just give you a real quick pick. I don't know how the availability on those are right now, but I think they did a great job on what they settled on. So right here is the one I think we're going to be looking at. But you've got a rock texture in kind of a copper with the darkened blade. You've got this nice anodized one with what looks like a stonewash blade, and then a couple of more muted raw titanium, black titanium Orlocks. What I noticed about the prototype is the flipping hole is very catchy on your finger. The choil or the harpoon is just natural. When your hand slides up to the choil and your thumb slides up here, the knife just feels like a glove. So without further ado, and thanks again, Brother Ryan. Such a great knife. First impression, the rock texture feels great. And it does go under the clip, so I haven't put it in or out of pocket yet, nor do I plan to. I'm just looking at it right now. Matter of fact, since I've reviewed this, this might be tomorrow's video. I've got to shoot something after this. Anyway, it's got a perfect middle finger flick. No matter where, so good. No matter where my finger hits that little pill-shaped oval hole, it just comes out. The grip, the ergonomics of this, the way it just sucks my hand in is fantastic. You've got just enough belly to make it an extremely effective slicer. And then one of the best top flippers, which those of you that watch my channel, you know, hey, Jesse, what's up, buddy? I might have missed somebody else. I'm trying to watch the knife to make sure I keep it on. There's Ryan Ellis. It's his knife. But guys, this is design chef's kiss. And I think 1931 Leatherworks, Terry knocked it out of the park. There's some of these available. I saw today at on Amazon. There are actually a couple of these still on Amazon. I think White Mountain has a few, but I endorse this knife, not because he's just my buddy, but because when I reviewed the prototype, it's special. The action's great. I love the liner lock, love the blade shape, love everything about it. This is the concept Orlock. And I think it's Terry's first design. And this rock pattern is very interesting because it's more liney than it is rocky. When I think of the rock pattern, this is kind of almost like a bark, maybe a bark pattern or a it just feels very good. If it shows better on this camera. But it's those kind of vertical lines perpendicular to the handle, which just kind of encompasses your hand. And I can tell you that this milled clip, I don't even feel it. It is reversible. So you've got a reversible clip. You've got anodized blue hardware. The Damascus is gorgeous. The pattern, I mean, again, they tell you on their website what two stainless steels they use for their Damascus, but the pattern is very consistent. You didn't, it looks as nice as a Damascus steel in my opinion. And this knife is, for what you're getting, I think a great value. So that's the Orlock. We'll get this out of the way. Now, a knife that Ryan convinced me to try, he asked me what I thought about concept. And when I first started doing knives after my daughter was born, kind of got into my childhood life, love of knives. I picked up a couple of different Kershaws from Walmart at different stops, and they were all spring assisted. And I thought of Concept Kershaw as an assisted knife company. So they were my go-to knife company all throughout, post-college, early life. I got stitches from a little chive. Well, Ryan asked me if I'd tried the Bel Air way back when the Bel Air was popular. And I said, no, I haven't given Kershaw really a look. To be honest with you, I haven't reviewed one. So he sent me a Bel Air. Needless to say, did I not only love it, but I went and I purchased one after experiencing his. And this, from my understanding, is a Bel Air XL. So this Bel Air, I haven't compared it to another knife, but I'm guessing that it's going to be closer in size to the PM2, where the original Bel Air was right in there with the size of the bug out. So this one's a little bit different, where the one that he sent me was aluminum. This has got a very nice G10 handle. And when I say very nice, it feels a little more aggressive than Spyderco, almost like Emerson. It's got the Kershaw's version of the bar lock, but it's very snappy. You've got this Magna Cut blade, kind of a modified reverse Tonto, spear pointed, clipped, drop. I don't know what you call this blade shape, but it's amazingly thin. The construction, fit and finish is impeccable on it. I mean, the knife is done very well. It's on bearings. It's got plenty of room. Let's see how long this is. And in the video, I'll have it compared to the original so you can see the size. But this one comes in at 8 inches overall. With a 3¼ inch blade. And again, the handle, it feels to me, this would be, even though the aluminum is nice, this would be a great work knife. Work EDC knife. The grip on it's very good. The textures on it is very good. Kershaw has a 30% off sale right now on their website, not Amazon. Let me pull that up. Only because I'm curious. I meant to have my other Bel Air over here so I could show you the difference in size, but unfortunately, I don't. So let's go to the Kershaw site and let's share this. I hate pop-ups. So I'm thinking the Bel Air XL. Here's the mint chocolate Bel Air marked down to 150. But they're USA made, Magna Cut. Bell. Bel Air Clip Point, Bel Air XL. All right. So our Bel Air XL. All right. So these guys, yeah, check the pricing and look around because I've seen the XL's $219, but I've seen these a little cheaper, and we'll look and see. But this guy is 3.4-inch blade, 62 to 64 Magna Cut. Overall length is 7.95. And when we compare that to the Bel Air that I have, Clip Point, I have the black one. This is actually the one I have. So it is 3.1 inches and 7.3 overall. So it is for those of you who liked the Bel Air, but it was just a little bit small, the XL feels great. I know Ryan likes it because he's got a bigger hand. Be Shady channel member, what is up, brother? I know I've missed other people too. So thanks to Ryan, I have 2 knives to review in the next couple of days. And the Orlot, I think I will move to the front of the line just because, A, I love the knife. B, I reviewed the prototype, and I can tell right now that they nailed the final production copy. I mean, it's perfect. It's tuned for both the middle finger flick or the thumb flick. I'll embarrass myself. I don't do thumb flicks. My thumbs are kind of like, on the evolutionary way out, but I still use them. And this knife is also very pleasurable to slow roll. And you got the front flipper that you've got enough traction there. Another thing I noticed about the prototype, and this is the same way, you got this last jimp that turns to a very sharp 90-degree angle on that flipper tab. So you do not slip off of it, whether you get closer to the pivot pin or if you're up at the top of the flipper tab, you get plenty of oomph to get the blade open. And guys, I'm sorry, but I just think that is a beautiful, beautiful knife. And it feels so good in the hand. And I can't believe my buddies at Concept overlooked me when I said, you know, I love all y'all's stuff, but one I really want to check out is the Orlog. Beautiful knife. Well done. Ryan, thank you. Thank you. I showed the Model 6 because I've been carrying it today, playing with it. The other thing I've been carrying today, I'll show you real quick, but I can't release this video, but check this out. Hollow grind, titanium handle, clutch lock. Kaiser's doing some cool shit, guys. A lot of people are doing cool stuff, but Night Jim, take care, buddy. And thanks again. Spidey flicking is an overrated art. It took me, I never could Spidey flick anything. And then I watched Bearded Gear, who is one of the Luft Concept owners. He did a video on flicking and how to hold the knife. And for some reason, it made sense. And the first knife that I successfully finger flicked was my Spyderco Shaman. And every knife flicks differently, but the older I've gotten, I really appreciate a slow roll to me. And I watch older guys when I go down to Knives and More. Slow rolling just feels better. You feel it lock up. Again, it's not as flashy. I agree, Neil. Front flippers for me are just not that pleasurable anymore. Never really were. The only thing I like about a front flipper, if it's small enough where I can get my finger up to it and just give it one of those, I think that's kind of cool. But unfortunately, there are very few knives I can do that on. So this is special. It's big. Let me show this first. This is a knife that I didn't know existed. It's actually a knife that TKL is bringing back called the Nautilus. It's about 6 inches, I think. But it's based off of the Night Stalker profile, which is a very aggressive, pokey, stabby, slurpy saver knife. But this, to me, is a great little pocket, get the fuck off of me knife. It's also thin enough to slice with. This one, I think, is a Nitro V. But the swedge on it is beautiful. The handle, for me, is a 4-finger handle. I thought at first it was on the same platform as the little bit smaller Piranha and the Warren EDC, but it's not. But really sexy knife. I'm a fan of the Night Stalker, and this is a little guy called the Nautilus. They've got, the only place I found it on the website was they just recently did a drop on Vampire Nautiluses. So you can read about it there. It is a very cool little knife made in the US. Night Stalker as in the serial killer? I don't think so. I mean, and the reason I say I don't think so is Tim Kell is very particular about naming knives in case they end up, because so many of them are contracted out to different parts of the military, or they're going to probably be used for fleshies. So it probably is named after the Night Stalker, but probably more of being the stalker of the night, because he's real. Jared Neves did a knife with him, and Jared wanted it to be called the Felon. You guys are probably familiar with the knife. I think it's the FRN or the FLN. We'll pull it up in a second, but it's a little curved knife, and Jared's doing version 2 right now. It's getting ready to come out. But Jared wanted to call it the Felon, and Tim had a talk with him, and I guess Tim had talked to attorneys about this before. But to have a knife name something like that, you know, that's convict, felon, things like that. If it's used in a self-defense situation, it's just extra fodder that you're giving whoever's prosecuting you, depending on what state you're in, how they perceive it as a tool versus a weapon. He just didn't think it was a good idea. A lot of people do it. But I don't think I think it's more about stalking, being unseen, because the first ones were blacked out. They're nice. Bought a Tops Frog Market because of the sale. Very nice. I had a knife pulled up here. I rarely talk about just basic Amazon knives. This is a basic Amazon knife. And if you are looking for a pruning knife or a knife to cut in the garden with or a lightweight camping knife, it looks to me like a pruner, but it's only in 440C, G10 handles, very slicey. I mean, it's super slicey. I did an unboxing on it. And right now I think it's $15 with the sheath, which to me is just a great price. Ron Crow has been a member for a year. Welcome, Ron. Dude, thank you so much. I'm going to have to give you a man hug. Y'all bear with me. Then we'll unbox the Mr. Mister. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you, man. But yeah, and I didn't even get this on sale. This is something that a company reached out to me. They're called Throw Knives, THRW Knives, and said, can we send you our knife to look at? They said, you don't have to make a review. It'd be great if you did. I did an unboxing. And it's just a basic, right under 8-inch, super thin 440C, little fixed blade, full tang, but it's only, like I say, $15. So maybe something to put in as a steak knife for the campsite or something like that. I think it'd be good for that. What's up, Scott N? What is up? Who else have I missed? Is Maddie in here? Mattisfaction channel member. I was talking to a friend of mine, Maddie, earlier that hopefully is going to join the chat. She's not a knife person, but I told her about the people, and she had been looking at my channel. She said, who else should I watch, you know, if I wanted to learn more about this? And I sent her good, bad, or indifferent, said faction, and told her that you and Stevie and the nights that y'all are live. I don't know what her name is in YouTube, and I'm not going to dox her, but if she shows up in my live, I'm definitely going to introduce her to you guys. And just, she's a lovely, lovely person. And, you know, she's just here to hang out and learn about what it is we do. And y'all treat her with love. And hopefully she'll show up over at Maddie's and Stevie's. Oh, Burnt, she can handle it. Believe me, she ran around with us in college. I don't worry about that. And hazing, to me, like I tell people, if you don't get hazed, you're not getting love. You know, that's kind of how we pass it along. What's up, Bob Tism? Welcome, buddy. I think I saw you bouncing around yesterday in Justin's live. All right, so back to this big knife. This is called the Mr. Mister Designs Titan. Comes with a little record, looks like. And it comes with both a knife and there's another clip in here. And I don't know why. I do know why. Because of the way that it's cut, it's a right-handed and left-handed clip. So they're the same size, but you do switch the clip. So this knife is, again, about 4.97 inch handle, or 4.97 inch, 3.97 inch blade. It's titanium. It's got an entirely new locking system. So what that means is you've got what looks like an Atlas lock or a bar lock right here, and you've also got this right here. But This is a hollow ground Magna Cut blade. You've got nice deep micro milling and a titanium pocket clip, and then it just slaps down. So you got thumb studs, or I can pull it up here on the side and it falls down. Reverse finger flick it, and then I can pull. I don't know if you can see that little tab. It's very minimalistic right there at the top. And like I said, I will do an up and close on this knife on the table. I wish, but I can't. I could take it apart to see how it's done. But guys, it is a handful. It is a little more expensive. I don't know if that's because of tariffs or if it's because of the technology, but it is a very cool piece. I'm all about innovation, and if you guys know, I've been a Mr. fan since I first saw him on Kevin's channel. I bought a Zero, one of these little minimalistic knives that his dad designed. And then he designed the Cypher and the Cypher D being the drop point. And I bought one of these, just a simple flipper tab. This is the Tonto version, which is a Cypher, but it's as thin as a TRM, full size knife. But if you look at this next to the Atlas is getting up there at cold steel territory. I mean, guys, this is a big boy knife. And again, the action on it is just chef's kiss. I think the OEM is Best Tech, but it's got a deep, deep hollow. Tell you what I'll do real quickly. I'll grab my handy dandy coupon book. Very slicey from heel to tip. It's the coolest knife I think they've done yet.
What's up, dude?
And his father designed it and started working on the lock. It's been under production or under being worked out for 2 years. Hey, Kyle.
How we doing?
We're doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I just unboxed Ryan's package that he sent me with Terry's Orlock that he ordered.
Okay.
And he sent me a bonus to check out. Did you know that they made the Kaiser Bel Air in an XL now?
I had not been keeping track.
Me neither. It's the Bel Air is the one that Ryan turned me on to. Very thin, Magna Cut, USA made, about 3.1 inch blade. And then they came out with the Bel Air XL that I think has a 3.5 inch blade, same shape. But instead of being an aluminum handle, it uses G10, and it feels like Emerson G10. It feels a little bit more aggressive than Spyderco G10, but it's very nice. So I was stoked to get that. And then when I was showing you guys, are you familiar with Mr. Designs?
Yeah, I know Miha.
Miha? Yeah, super nice guy. He sent me this to check out. Asked me if I had no idea what it was going to be like. This blade's 3.97 inches. And it uses a new lock that his dad designed. So it looks like an Atlas lock, but it's a coil spring. And it's got this thing here that's not like a Demco Shark lock. It just kind of pulls back. See how the spine's done?
Okay.
I can't take it apart, but I want to try to get him to get me some drawings so I can see how it works. But you pull that back. Or you can pull one of the sides back. So there are two ways to release that, but it's not using S springs. And it looks like.
What's a detent feel like?
It feels snappier than a bar lock, but it doesn't feel as snappy as a liner lock. For as big as the blade is, I can reverse finger flick it, and it's fidgety. I mean, I don't have to give it any gas with my finger to get it to open. I don't.
Well, that's
you know,
what I was curious about, because it being that big of a blade, it seemed like it was a little sluggish, but I wasn't sure if that was blade or if that was the lock.
I think it's actually the blade, the way it travels around, because it
Gotcha.
seems to, when I get a flick, it feels like it's firing out. But
The
the
weird
hollow
thing-
grind on it's sick, dude.
The weird thing is that where the pivot location is, that's pretty low and far forward.
Doesn't that look a little different? I thought that when I unboxed it too.
He like I love a lot of his designs. I think he does killer designs. Like the Cypher D I thought was cool. The Zero was cool.
Yeah, I've got both of those knives. I also like the was it the Phantom? What was a little sheep's foot? Not the Phantom. It had thumb studs. It was here. I'll tell you what it was. It was the Aeon. I've gotten to review quite a few of his knives, but the one I liked the most was the little.
While you're looking up, I'm gonna say hello to people in chat.
Yeah, do that.
What's up, Sierra, Bob, Mills, Henry, Brando, B Shady.
28 Cheetos.
No kidding, Cheeto. Who else did I miss? Richard.
Oh, I
Think
failed
about
it. It is a spring, Kyle. So with it being a coil spring, maybe like a Mannix, maybe like a, it's a little different detent, but it's very interesting. I can't figure out what this long mechanism that pushes back would be.
And that's a weird thing. So, like, to me, like on a Mannix, it feels nothing like a crossbar.
No.
It's got a much stronger tension. And it feels more like a actual detent.
I think a lot of that has to do with the hole being so easy to get juice behind. But I love the Mannix. These are those scales, Kyle, in a sniper gray.
Okay. I haven't ordered that stuff yet.
No, I'm still working with him because he hadn't replied to my thing, and I sent him an email today.
Okay.
But this knife,
Manny.
and I don't know if it has to do with tariffs. It's OEM by Best Tech. It could be because of all the work that goes into that lock, because it's pretty heavy and that's pretty substantial, but it cracks right at 400. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a scary price.
I mean, I want him to make money, so I'm not going to say it's outrageous, but I think it's definitely
I think
on the upper echelon of what should be.
That's why I think that it might be production costs, because if you look at the one I was talking about, it's the Phantom. This $205. His knives have always been pretty well. This is tariffs, because the Aeon went from $290 to $310 to the blackout Aeon selling out at $400, and it wouldn't cost you $90 for.
That's not that much in tariff, buddy. That's just.
But I mean, their price point has always been, well under 300, except for the Ronin, which I guess started it. Yeah, I don't know why you would choose.
Mills brings up a good point. That one, I was like, I'm not really in the market for Chinese made stuff, but that one was tempting, and they only made 100 of them. But that's already.
Which one's that?
It's gone and sold out. Dalibor, he did a collab, he did a production knife that with Riyadh, but it's an integral. So there's more machining and there's more to it there than that, but it's still, I don't think it was worth the 400, but I understand where where that money could be seen versus 400 on a non-integral.
So you think we've just our willingness to buy? What's up, Josh? You think our willingness to buy? Edgy, what's up? Our willingness to buy has raised the price, because I'm seeing it more and more in other knives too.
Yeah, I mean
that's at 400.
That's what we've talked about in the past. I mean, we know what it costs to make them. It's a matter of whether you're willing to pay.
Well, this is a little different because it's a new knife. I mean, and again, I know it's
I still have a
Now,
rough idea. I could still guess within $15 what that costs.
this, whatever this is very heavy. There's a lot in there, and I don't know. Let me see if I can get a better idea. Yeah, I'm sure you can. It does have contoured, a little bit of milling. It is OEM by Best Tech. The inside looks very plain, but it looks like when you pull this lock back, okay, it's kind of like a manual. So picture the way a bar lock goes in and engages, right? This is doing it the same way, but it's got a really strong coil spring that is positioned, I'm guessing, somewhere right back here.
Yeah.
So when you pull here or here, you're compressing that spring as opposed to bending an S spring. But again, that's not going to add $90 to the price. But I'm just saying I think that's the main difference looking at it. It's got a very long bar that just engages and has a little cutout to go into the tang.
So let me ask this as a posed question to the chat. And this could be this knife, this could be any other knife. But if you're buying a knife for aesthetics and action, that's one thing. If you're buying a knife to be a knife and as a tool, what would you rather have? A steel that is authentic, done well, and costs, let's say you got two realms. Let's say you could go this route. You could go, it costs $140 in lesser materials, or it costs $450. Now say this is G10, $450, $4.25, in better materials, right? Or would you rather buy something that has a action-based new lock or a design that you may like better in a steel that you can't necessarily trust from a government that hates you and costs the same amount as a U.S. American-made knife like this and premium materials?
I would personally choose the U.S., but I bet you 50 to 60% like the ingenuity and don't see, and I don't want to turn political, but don't see value like I do in U.S. knives. These are Americans I'm talking about. And there's no really right or wrong answer, but I would definitely rather.
I'm asking the chat what their opinion is on that. And are you looking for the knife as a tool, or are you looking for it for a fidget spinner? Because if you're doing that, then just say that you're looking for a fidget spinner and just buy that.
Well, for a tool, most people aren't gonna. Let's assume that we are going to use a full tie Hinderer or a full tie Sabenza or something like that as a tool. This knife, I don't know because I haven't checked the MagnaCut, but in terms of the lockup and the stability of it, it feels like a heavy use, hard use knife.
Okay.
Again,
so let's go that route. Let's take this out of the way. Let's say all things are considered. For instance, let's say the knife that you've got there is as strong as this knife here. Okay. That knife costs $25 cheaper than this knife. This knife is guaranteed CPM steel. This knife is made in the United States with EPA, with taxes, with regulations, with better paying workers, non-slave labor. Where's your balance point of what becomes more important?
I mean, again, I think that's depending on.
I'm not trying to beat a dead horse.
No,
I mean, I'm
totally
asking questions for people like that. There's a difference between saying that knife is worth $4.25 and this knife is $290 or $280, $295, $290, whatever this was. This knife is worth every single penny of what it is, even if it is not USA made. One that is designed by someone here that we know and trust and is an actual designer, not just someone who comes up with something.
Well, Miha's a designer. I give him.
No. I wasn't talking about him. I'm saying
You're talking general. I know.
Generalized statement. This is worth every single penny based on fit and finish, quality, and everything else. These are not in the same price point. If these were the same price point, I don't think it would be worth $4.25 made overseas. If this knife was made here and it was $550 to $600, it would sell out all day, every day,
or 700 even,
because of it is A, it's good design, and B, the manufacturing being here. But at the price point, it's phenomenal value. But I think this is the pinnacle of what you're getting from over there. So for me to see something come in at $100, $120, $130 more,
you would almost need to hold this. Again, it's not a better knife, and that's my favorite knife that you're holding. But the weight and the solidness, there's something different about this knife than any Chinese knife I've held, and it's because of the way it's built. And one thing I'll say, looking at that knife in your hand and this knife here, it's hard to say that with the machinery and the technology that the Chinese are employing, that their fit and finish is any less, if not better, than what we're capable. Materials aside, the materials might not be as good, but the fit and finish on this,
I don't disagree. I'm not saying that they make bad knives at all, John. They make fantastic knives. For the most part, they make a lot of great knives. I mean, the fit and finish on this Aurelia made by Riot is just as good as the fit and finish on most of my USA made knives, if not better on some.
Yeah,
that's not the argument. The argument is not that they are making poor knives for the money. The argument comes down to their price structure is getting into the point where they're competing with labor that's non-slave based, and
the American designers at that point don't have a choice to switch because they're already kind of in the stream. They kind of have to go with that, I would guess.
My stance on that is I love Mia's designs. I love a lot of people's designs who make knives. I love Dalabor's knives. The difference between Dalibor and, like, let's say another maker, is he makes customs. He's actually a knife maker, and they're hard to get and they're very expensive. He's also not US based. I can't afford one of his customs. If I were to ever get one, it would probably have to be a production. That opens up markets to people that can get his knives that otherwise couldn't. I understand that to a point, but I still don't. I would like it if more designers would look at other avenues for manufacturing. I know the easiest and cheapest way to go to market is through China, but I just wish they would look at other avenues.
I do too. And I think, weren't you talking about somebody else who was a new OEM, or somebody brought it up in chat? One of those companies, not Prince, but one of those ones that made nice American knives, were doing more OEM work. I think we'll get there.
We're talking about Millet. Millet used to do a ton of OEM work, but then they kind of, I don't want to discredit anyone, but they had some issues with their OEM QC, so they quit doing that. Potentially, there was talks a while ago that Alex was going to do some OEM work.
Yeah, I think
there needs. There are some avenues out there you can get it done. Just a matter of
working a little bit.
Yeah, how much do you want it? It's versus just a turnkey. Here's a check. I don't think.
I agree with that too, Scotty.
I don't disagree with that, but there are some avenues for a small niche group of people to be made, but I don't believe that they can't be done. And I think the people that say that just haven't looked deep enough into it.
And Edgy, I'm not trolling you personally. I'm playing. I'm trying to learn. You know, perception's everything, and reality is everything. And I just know from holding it and feeling it that it feels very, very high quality. And
Oh
I
yeah.
felt. I mean, it feels on par in terms of weight of like an Evo. It's just it's a
Well,
gorgeous.
okay, yeah. The Evo feels very well made, but it's also Chinese made as well too, John.
Oh, I know, I know. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that Chinese. I agree with everything y'all are saying about knowing what you're getting, who you're getting it from, and there are other advantages too. Lifetime, usually somebody stand behind your knife, somebody who you can get in touch with. I'm just saying that the quality of the knife, the I was surprised that it was over 350, to be honest with you. But when I saw it, I was looking at other knives around, and I've noticed that a lot have gone up. If you just go to Blade HQ, we specifically have seemed to all jump in price, and I just wonder if it's all because the Chinese think they can stick it to us in such a short amount of time, or if it's something caused by the trade.
You okay? So go back a year. We has been increasing prices dramatically for the last year and a half. This is long coming. They've been having knives over $400 for the last year and a half.
Right.
The and Paul, like I'm saying, the Evo is a fantastic knife, and I don't discount it. I had one and absolutely loved it. But at the end of the day, it is still made by a Chinese manufacturer. Period, hands down. I mean, that's it. It is what it is. Is it a phenomenal knife? Absolutely. So I'm not discrediting
Anything about the knife. It's just
the quality of it, but
scale.
yeah, the value in it does not make any sense. And to sit there and be like, oh well, it makes more sense to buy something and support someone that you don't necessarily agree with because of the price. I'd rather save my money and not. But again, we've always gone back to this same topic, John. We've always said that it doesn't matter what you buy, as long as you're happy, you're happy. But the more people that buy the stuff, the more people are willing to get accustomed to paying for that kind of stuff. Yeah, like
that's horrific looking to me, but
I don't care about the design. I care about the price. The price is absolutely insane.
I agree. I mean, 467 seems very high, and it is CPM 20 CV and carbon fiber. Is it a integral? I can't see anything super special about it. Looks like it's got standoffs, doesn't it? But
Well,
do you not think? I mean, what would tariffs do to a knife since we know that they cost very little to produce? I mean, could they not throw them up that much? Look at this craziness. Again, it's 569.50. Now again, it's more bougie.
yeah, but that's what they've been doing for almost 2 years, John.
But I don't remember them ever getting that high. Because I can remember like the Snex Buster back when I first got into knives, it was so much higher than every other knife.
Yeah, their Damascene steel ones have been in the fives for a while, and they've had a lot of them that have been high threes to low fours for a while.
I haven't noticed it, I guess. So you're saying it's just not, it's probably not tax or not tariffs.
No, that's not. I mean, that's been their pricing structure for a while now.
That's the ugliest knife, and it's got terrible ratings. $4.99. I mean, look at the blade, though. I guess it is kind of unique. Got a rock pattern on the blade and on the.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a fifth of what you'd pay for one of his customs. But I would much rather have one of his customs. Oh, well, your device isn't connected. I can't add.
Shane, get your camera connected so you can come in.
Yeah,
But I've been very surprised at how high they are, and for me, it seems like they would creep them up. I mean, I don't remember Wii's being plus 300.
Oh yeah, they've been that way for a long time, buddy.
I haven't been shopping, so I can say that's probably right. I just haven't been looking at knives. And I've seen some on White Mountain knives that I've never heard of before that are pretty expensive too.
Yeah, Mills. I was the same way. I got mine in a trade, and I don't think I would have paid full price for it, but it was a hell of a knife. Here, let me add him in. What's up, buddy?
Hey, bud.
Damn you, John.
Hey, I'm going to I'm trying to learn. I mean, when you look at this, and again, I know
What
it's.
you should have learned was 2 years ago when I explained to you that they're going to keep raising the price to see if you will pay it until they're more expensive than American products, because they don't give a shit about knives. They don't give a shit about you. They give a shit about putting everybody else out of business.
Right.
And every time you defend it or pay it, you're contributing to that. There is no defense for that knife being $400. None.
Well,
I don't give a shit if it gives you a blowjob when you open it. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. The product you're buying is not worth it. What you're doing to the knife economy and the knife industry is not worth it. What you're doing to support a country that would rather see you burn.
I'm supporting Mr. and Mr. Designs, an American father and son who've been doing it for 5 years.
Don't care. Fuck him. Don't care.
I don't see it that way.
If he set the price at $400, fuck him. I don't care.
But Shane, that's anti-capitalistic, because if people are willing to pay it,
they're not Americans.
But we're spending the money. So anyway you look at it,
our economy.
If people are willing to pay $400 and they drop it to $300, that's stupid business because it's worth less. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying
I get that.
It's worth it. I'm just saying,
are you on a knife company or do you buy knives?
I buy knives, so I'm not buying that knife.
You of all people should not want to promote the ever increasing price of Chinese knives. I don't
always promote people's designs.
I don't care that people buy budget knives. I don't have an issue with the Orlock. That knife's worth every penny. But that knife you held, it's not worth any more than it is.
It's got a totally different lock, dude. I think
it does not. It does not. Backpack B designed that same lock. They just changed it from Omega spring to a coil spring, which Mitch made already did. That is not a brand new lock. It's a rendition of an existing lock.
I don't think it's worth twice as much as an Orlock, but I don't know how their business is set up. And I think it's worth.
If you pay it, you're contributing to it. They're going to continue doing it. That's why Civivis cost $85 now, because they went from 40 to 45. Nobody cared. They went from 45 to 50. Nobody cared.
Yeah, we went to Wendy's yesterday. I took those guys, and they spent $35 on two double combo meals. So everything's getting more expensive.
I get that.
So I don't know how it. I just know that.
Well, how do you figure tariffs into Wendy's then? Because first of all, when you bring up tariffs, are the reason why China.
No, I was asking. I don't know.
The Chinese want you saying it's because of the tariffs, because that makes it our fault. That makes it our government's fault that their knives are so high. When this has been their business plan since day fucking one.
Look, I mean, inflation, maybe not tariffs, maybe it's other.
They knew what date they were going to break the $400 price market. They knew it 3 years ago. They're that smart, and we're losing to them every day. I'm not saying don't buy a Chinese knife.
But business
that knife sells out, and Best Tech sees, man, we can sell $400 knives. I bet we can sell $420 knives. Let's do that next.
But that's what every company should try to do. I'm not taking up for them, but I'm just saying, Shane, if you're a business, you don't want to sell at what your margin is. You don't want to let margin determine your business. You want to let the market determine your business. Some people, what do you think it costs for software? I mean, there's 1,000% profit there. And I'm not saying it's worth more than American knife. I'm just saying they're buyers that will like that knife because they like different things, and they're not as entrenched in the ethics of knife making.
It's not even the ethics, John. It boils down to what is it going to cost you next year? There's people in the chat right now. There's people in this community that can no longer afford a Civivi, and it's our fault.
I'm right there with them, and I think we should go back and find.
We kept allowing them to go up, and we kept buying them anyway.
But
Back
there are
up a step
ones
back.
online that are much cheaper, that are
Back-
built just as well. So that's how new companies come into the market. That's all. Capitalism works
They're not.
itself
They're not
out.
new companies, Javon. They're branches off of existing companies over there.
Well, we probably have a lot of
Nothing new
that
about
here
the
too.
design. There's nothing new about the design. There's nothing new about the lock. They just changed something. And then the dad and son's defense, there's really not that much new you can do anyway. I'm not bad mouthing that. I'm just saying there's no reason for that knife to cost $400 other than greed. And I wouldn't care if they were making American sell it, if they were selling it for $4,000. I wouldn't care. This is all a test. This is all part of a plan
Right,
to
right.
keep getting higher and higher and higher. And all they want to do is put these U.S. brands out of business so that they can all be that high, just like they've
See,
done
I
with
don't,
every other product.
but if they put all the U.S. companies out of business, Shane, people just like Brando, like me, like you, there's certain prices we're not going to break on a Chinese knife. If they don't sell them at that price, they've either got to figure out how to get their costs down or lower their margins. But that's letting the market regulate itself.
Is that what they did with cowboy boots?
I don't know.
What's a pair of Chinese cowboy boots cost today?
I don't buy cowboy boots.
It costs the exact same thing that a pair of American boots did 10 years ago before they put them all out of business by selling cheaper boots. And now they're the exact same price. Because there's no longer any American companies. There's all those families, all those employees, all those supporting businesses.
Then we should start a boot company.
To a Chinese company.
If it's equitable, then somebody should start a boot company, because they've now gotten to the place. If that's reality, it's the perfect time for a company to come in and market themselves American and be the same price or just a little more. Talk about so what's the point of the American boot company?
What was the point of putting them out of business to begin with?
It's not putting them out of business. It's it's capitalism put them out of business.
No, it didn't.
It did, Shane, because we've allowed trade.
They're not part of capitalism. They're not part of our country. They're not part of our economy.
We're trading with them, but we're trading with them. It's not you and me making that decision.
Hang on, time out.
Yes, it is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Let me enter here quick. First of all, the trading with them, it's not equal footing. It's not fair trade. There's no zero fair trade there.
I agree with that.
And no, until recently, they've charged us on shit. We have not charged them on shit.
Very aware of that.
So it's not fair trade. We let them use abhorrent work conditions. Don't argue with them. Don't, put them under
the same standards and the same.
Don't put them under penalty. Allow them to come here for free. Allow them to take money out of the pocket of people who can be making the money here. Secondly, them having this whole plan to take over markets is not just them as businesses. That is a lot of times subsidized by the actual country.
I agree with that.
They're taking losses on products solely for the fact of taking over markets.
I agree with that, but our government is the one that's greed. That's what I'm trying to make the point of. It's not, if our government didn't want that to happen.
The responsibility is on the end buyer.
On the consumer, right.
So that's why you should hold that knife up and say, this is not worth $400 fucking dollars.
I think it's worth $400. I do. I mean, again,
I agree. I'm saying we were paying them. We weren't collecting them to the same equal footing. Therefore, it's not fair trade. You're never going to have necessarily complete fair trade.
I love this knife.
So
425 is made the way it's supposed to be made by Americans. I love Americans. I love America. Roll Tide, right? So love this knife. Nothing wrong with it. This knife is, in my opinion, far more advanced than that knife is, and made with more parts, with more engineering than the 3 pieces plus washers and hardware that go into this. I love this knife. I would prefer this knife over this knife. Right. I think most people, if they handled both at a blade show, would choose the other knife, because not everybody thinks like we do about buy American, keep it here. And unfortunately, it's just not the way that the economy works. I wish it did. You know, if Elon's phone takes off and he's able to sell them, great. I think if anybody can do it, he can do it.
So, okay, back to that point, John. If that customer was uninformed, excuse me, and held both knives and had to pick one that had zero information about the knives, they might do that. But if they had information, wouldn't it be important to educate them on the knives and then make a decision?
Absolutely. And I never like saying this, but I've bought American products and I've worked in American companies and I've seen shitty American stuff made.
Of course there is.
I've seen shitty tolerances and things that are $425 knives that I had to send back and ask about that should have never gotten out of quality control. So I'm not saying that they're not desired by me, but they're not the perfect answer either. It's got to be consumers. And that's why there's so many different choices. That's why Richard and I talked about it in depth, because we like totally different stuff. I mean, our differences couldn't be, further apart in what we like in knives, but I've changed what I like and he's started to evolve into what he likes. And it's going to be up to where people want to put their dollars. I think being informed is very important, but I still don't know if we've got all the information. Because I don't know if Mihai, for example, and his family are just barely getting by and making a knife, they might not be, buying.
What knives do they make?
They make the Mr. Misters.
And what production plant?
At Best Tech.
They own CNC machines and have employees? Oh, you mean they have knives made?
They're designers. That's what I said.
No, they don't make anything. But you said they make knives.
He made prototypes.
Making knives.
No, he makes prototypes out of non-cuttable materials and then sends those with drawings. He does it the right way. What Mihai does that some others don't is he's a legit designer, and he's been designing just knives for a while because his dad designed knives for years. I think his dad did make knives at one time, but was doing them by himself and couldn't. They wanted to scale. And I'm not saying that it's not better to go American. I'm saying the realities that I've heard is everybody that wants to make a knife, not that everybody that wants to.
It's better to go American's not my point. I don't care if you buy American. What I'm telling you is, if you support these abhorrent price hikes, that's your stupidity, because everything you buy in the future is going to continue to get higher. They're going to take advantage of you for as long as they possibly can. There's
a law of diminishing returns.
Okay, let's break it down financially.
What was that diminishing return point 3 years ago? Why is it now $25 less than a hinder?
When people are making more money, who know, or making less money, who knows? There's no reason.
Let's break it down financially for people, so that way they can see. X knife at $400.
Make it big.
You don't have to. I'm still writing. Versus a hinder at $425. Okay. That knife is made by Best Tech. First of all, that's a choice to have it made by Best Tech. Best Tech's more expensive than pretty much any other plant over there because they actually don't make anything.
Right.
They have everything outsourced. So therefore, they're paying all the individual companies to make a knife for them, and then they have to market it and sell it. So they're making more money on top of that. So you're paying more for Best Tech. You wouldn't have to get a Best Tech. You could go on the re-out and paid less. But yet you chose Best Tech. Okay.
For whatever reason. We don't know why, because sometimes some OEMs can't get to the project. There are reasons besides wanting the most expensive that leads you there. Sometimes it's just you don't have choices.
Let's look at what that knife would cost from Best Tech. This is plus or minus $15. I would put money on it that I'm pretty close. That costs an OEM that cost them $165 to bring that into the United States to sell it. Okay.
I don't know what the lock mechanism.
No, John, trust me. Just hear me out. Plus or minus, that's no more than $180 to bring into the market, US, period.
In a box, ready to sell.
Correct.
One CAD entered into a CNC is not any more expensive than another CAD. No matter
what. What's a hinder cost to put in with two pieces of titanium?
That's what I'm getting at. Let's say.
So now you're figuring U.S. payroll,
correct,
insurance, taxes, Social Security,
Right. We ran a company. Disability, all that shit.
Like I would say that a Hinder probably has somewhere between 2.25 to 250 in it for U.S. made, and that includes payroll, everything else. So their profit 175. They haven't raised their prices in 8 or 9 years.
So you telling me if you take 30% dealers that they're making that little of a margin? I don't believe that. I believe their knife costs less to make. I think 425, take 30% off that.
Okay, so you're at 360. So that still makes them, they're still making over $100 a knife wholesale.
Over $100 a knife wholesale, no manufacturer that's that caliber is going to work on that margin. I believe that it costs less to make.
I worked for a machine shop that made air conditioning Schrader valves, and we made less than a nickel a piece off of them.
That's some do, but Hinderer has horses, and he's very successful.
Well, I mean, you think you
John, it's amount of volume, and when he's doing it with a dealer, those are guaranteed sales. That's what people get. When he has those knives, he doesn't have to have a sitting on his website for someone to buy him. Those are guaranteed sales. No, they're not, because they're sitting on dealer shelves. All knives are sitting on dealer shelves.
But the dealer bought them, because like when I talked to Knives and More yesterday, and they got best techs that they can't show for 2 weeks, they're going to sell them today if somebody wants to look at them, because he bought the knives. Paid 100% for every knife he gets before it comes into his store.
My point is, this margin here of 175 from U.S. made versus this margin here of well over, let's say, 235 for something made overseas, and saying that, oh, they're barely making it. They could sell that knife for $300 and sell out instantaneously and make enough money. Or they could even go to a different manufacturer.
Well, put in Miha, put in Mister's profit in there.
I did. That's what I'm saying.
I thought you were going from Best Tech.
No, I'm saying 165 is the cost.
Is what Mister's paying.
Correct. So that means that Best Tech is selling it to him for that, means they're making money. So that means they probably have only $80 in it to manufacture it. So when a company over there says, okay, we got $80 a knife,
I can't imagine $80 being in my hand.
Yes.
I mean, I believe you. I'm under the ether.
Richie and Linky looked into it. A titanium slab Riot was about $100.
I'm gonna get Miha on next Friday.
That nobody knows what percentage of that Riot made off of it.
Right. So my point is
that is including their profit.
Right. So if a company like
we need to make knives that are different, like Chapman Lakes, even though I don't like that knife. America has some.
Demco not make knives that are different.
Who?
Demco makes knives that are different. Freeman makes knives that are different. There's plenty of companies making knives that are
but they're not. But we've always talked about that they continue to do what they do because it's successful.
Let me finish this thought real quick.
Innovation.
Part of the issue.
That's not innovative.
No.
This is very innovative.
No, it's not.
Dude, it is. I'm telling you.
We did that on a fucking 3D printer.
Dude, I'm just telling you, nobody's done that before. When you look at it, and I'll show it to you, it's something different. It's a chance that somebody took that no one else, American or otherwise, maybe because they don't think so, but as many bar locks as you see to use.
Let me ask you this. You ever looked at the door hinge on a Chevrolet truck?
No.
You ever looked at the door hinge on a Ford truck?
My doors got ripped off, dude.
They're not identical, but they're the same fucking thing.
A lock is a lock, but the cost to make it is different. You know that.
There's nothing expensive about that.
To cut a frame lock in versus to machine 4 other parts and fit them in is going to take more time. Not maybe $5 more, but it's going to cost more.
Okay, does that make up for the fact that they don't have to worry about setting a detent ball? They don't have to worry about cutting that in, pressing that in, making sure the tolerances are correct. So there's a way between the two sides of what costs more money. And they're equal. There's no difference in price point between that lock and a frame lock.
Right. Okay? It goes back to what's
Let me finish this real quick.
So a CAD is a CAD, John. Once you draw up what you want the piece to look like, the CNC machine just spits it out. That piece is not any more expensive.
We don't have
that piece is not any more expensive than that little thing that CJRB put on the spine of their knife.
Right. And what I'm saying is
so that doesn't make it
that could be true, but what is the choice that why aren't American companies, we know because they make more making other things, there's not opportunities for people. Yes, there are select opportunities. Yes, you can find them. But if you wanted to design something like this and you wanted it made in the US and you were a small company, it's not feasible. It's not doable unless you're Michael Martin and you've got your machine and you're doing it yourself or you're out
Brian Kim did it in his mama's garage.
with his machine.
No, he didn't have any machines.
How many did he do?
He's bought all this. He worked
I get that.
doing regrinds,
I get that.
earned enough money to buy a heat treat
So
oven, and now he's bought
Mr. Designs could have gone to him and worked and gotten this for
no, they
600.
could have went and bought their own fucking CNC machine.
Not everybody does that. I know
No, you're
Brian
right, everybody
did.
does that.
Brian
But
also
that's not,
doesn't.
that's not the point.
No, the point
You're
is
backing up. I
capitalism.
already said I get it. That I think it's cool that China offers designers a chance to get their name out there and put a design into a knife. I support that. What I don't support is the normalization of Chinese knives costing as much as American knives. It's stupid. There's no defending it. It's just stupid. It makes zero
But
sense.
why then do people continue to buy them? And why would China drop price if people are buying them? That's anti-capitalistic, whether they participate in it or not.
They don't give a shit, John. That's the whole point. The point is
You're
the
missing
reason-
my point. It's about dollars and cents. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And if he's selling them for 400, if he doesn't sell them for 400, they're going to go down in price because the market's controlling that. Us are the market. The people shelling out dollars.
Why do they sell for that price? Specifically, the reason we're talking right here is because people on YouTube will sit there and promote them and say, hey,
No,
this knife
I
is great.
agree.
It's worth $400.
I agree. If you think we have that much power, that's insane. People
No,
buy
it
them.
is. It is
John,
100%.
all this exists because of YouTube and content creators.
Look at
Knives have always existed before.
No, we're
YouTube
talking
ever
about-
existed.
Hey,
A.G. Russell, dude. I used to look
This-
through that magazine every
This
day.
thing that exists now, these Chinese companies being able to sell $400 did not exist.
You're
That
not
was a
listening
lot
for a
of
second, John.
I'm
What I'm
listening.
saying is that nowadays the trend, these hype knives, it's the whole Jack Wolf principle of you give everyone knives, they promote the shit out of it, and they sell. Period. You hype a knife up, it gets promoted, and they can sell for whatever they want to sell for. It has
That's
nothing
Jack
to,
Wolf.
No. That is a lot of
These
hype.
knives are not given away.
I'm
Mihai
not
never
saying
gives away. a
I'm
knife.
not attacking Miha. I'm not saying him. I'm saying
know.
that's a lot of tradition. That's a lot of the marketing strategy now. Is these companies will do that, and that is how they get their marketing out there. So they are promoting through content creators who are saying this is the latest and greatest Chinese knife ever made. This is the latest.
American companies do too.
Every single
American
week,
companies do too.
every single week out there. But
And they don't say
if
the
it is-
greatest. Not everybody says the greatest made
Mike
ever.
and CRK have a price hike every year.
right, or do they send out knives for review to get sales? No,
I don't see their knives. They're not, I guess, designed for us. But I see TRMs, I see hinderers, I see not as many from reviewers. But again, I think if you look at the numbers sold, you've got to have awareness. Hype is something that if you are going to go to a steel toe reference, if you're stupid enough to give steel toe money to hit his goal, he's hyping you up. If you're stupid enough to buy a knife just because somebody says it's the best knife ever, I'm sorry, you're not using your thought process.
What do you think a lot of people do? They want to be part of this community. They want to be accepted. They want to buy what other people are buying or saying is great. They want to be part of the chats and say, hey, I got this new knife this week. It's the same thing that every progression of everyone that comes to this community does. And at some point they hop out of it. But but to say that reviewers don't have a say in that is completely asinine. The fact
reviewer doesn't have
that yes, they do. There's
No,
I can tell you six companies right now though.
China wouldn't be doing business with you if they didn't have the power to sell their product.
I get paid to sell the product. I get that. What I'm saying is
Why do they pay you to sell the product?
because they make everybody pays commissions. There's profit
Because you have an impact on a industry that
on
they wouldn't have
getting
to put
them
in if it
reached.
wasn't for you.
Right. But nobody's going to buy a
You
knife.
just said we didn't have that power.
I'm just
So
telling
apparently
you
we
that no, you're talking about all reviewers like one reviewer. Not
No,
every
no, no.
reviewer says this
I'm
knife's
saying-
great. This knife's great. I watched Male Complex beat the shit out of an expensive knife today. It's just about talking about a knife and showing it.
John,
They
what
show
I'm
them on
saying,
Instagram and sell probably more than they do from their reach than they do off YouTube.
I can think of 6 companies right now, John, that would not exist still to this day that are boutique brands and or name brands if it weren't for the YouTube marketplace pushing them.
And that's a lot of community supporting community, and I agree with that too. And I'm not saying that those are. I think there's different circumstances. Every company, not every company, but a lot of companies are different. All of them have different burn rates. All of them have different costs, even though they're just working.
How long do you think Rick Hinder is going to leave the XM18 at $425 when he sees Chinese knives surpass his price?
If people pay $450 for him, he should be selling for $450 now, or he's a stupid businessman.
You're right.
And people probably wouldn't pay $450 for him.
How far are you okay with that going until you can't afford them anymore?
That would never happen, because if people can't afford them, if I can't afford them, that's shame on me. If people quit buying them, the manufacturer is going to drop the price. That's how economics and capitalism works.
Exactly. That's why nobody should buy that knife for $400, so it could come down.
If that knife is a better built knife than a Hinder XM18, I'm held both of them. I don't know that. I'm just saying if it is. I held
a Chinese knife for a long time, and I held the Orlock and was blown away at how good it was.
Saw gloss.
I would not come out and say that the Orlock is better made than a Manix 2. I don't know that.
But you don't know that it's not better made than a Manix 2.
You're right, I don't.
So I'm not going to say that it's better made. I'm just saying what it is. It's a revolutionary lock. It's very solid. It's made out of magnet. Huh?
It's not revolutionary. Backpack B did it on a 3D printer.
Well, I haven't seen it in the market. This is the first one that I've seen in the market. So you can do anything on a printer, like you said, and that's fucking playing in fantasy land. Make the motherfucker. Have somebody make the motherfucker for you.
He's too busy winning Emmys.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that he needs to be making them, but drawing's one thing, right? I mean, paint me a picture, make me smile, show me something, And again, I'm not taking up for what I think what they're doing is business. That's simple. And then we should have stopped buying it at $250, and they would not have gone over $250. And I guarantee you, some of the advances that you see in the construction might not have happened either, because we're satisfied with Benchmade and Hinderer flat shit. Why would they even make contoured shit?
Well, it's a hell of a lot easy to get innovative and creative when you're not actually making the same product and you're claiming it's the same product.
What's that? I didn't get that. Yeah, he's got 3 Emmys, Paul, at least.
Yeah.
I think 4.
So
they're not for acting, but they're for doing the real shit, making it happen.
Let me go back to what I was saying earlier. So if it's $165 to the OEM, it costs roughly $80 to $100 for the manufacturer. Okay. So they have to make
profit's a bad thing, though. So
no. Let me finish my comment, because I don't think profit's a bad thing either. But when that manufacturer's only got $80 in it, and they're turning around and making their own designs and selling them for $299 or $250, they're making way more money, but yet they're still doing OEM work. That knife's still only an $80 knife that you're paying either $299 for, or you're paying $400 for.
I have the choice to. I have the choice to pay $400 for.
Let me
finish, because
as a cost, it's only $80 regardless of how you're buying it. Okay.
All right.
Versus if you're $225, $200, whatever, for a Hinderer, it's still a much better value than,
because of the EPA and the disability insurance and all that shit. That's a scam anyway that we all live with. I've been fucked
or the fact that you're not supporting slaves. Which one is more important?
I'm supporting me on his family, and I'm supporting me wanting
who are promoting that.
All that shit.
All right, let's talk about my Adderall.
All that shit you're talking about that is a scam is supporting somebody.
No, let's talk about pharmaceutical companies. My Adderall, I pay every month. I have to. Now we can talk about my statins if you want to, but my Adderall is $85 a month for 30 pills. Those pills probably cost nickels to make.
Probably.
They're making, and they're an American company, and they're doing something that I need. and let's say it's not me, it's somebody getting heart medicine like my dad who takes 9 pills in the morning and 4 in the evening. I don't know what his monthly expenses are, but that is highway robbery to me and more egregious than supporting and buying a knife from a Chinese dude that's working for an American company, because we are a whether we want to admit it or not, we have a global trade economy. We just do. I think Bill Clinton or somebody had something to do with it. It probably happened long before that. But it's not, to me, it's not a deal breaker, because I look at all quality. There's some American knives I love. I'm around a lot of American knives lately. I've reviewed a lot of American knives lately. Some of them blow me away, and some of them are, my Strider's a great knife. It's not, doesn't blow my skirt up. It's just me personally. Everybody's different, right?
Very
I
basic.
like,
Yeah, it's a very basic tool, but it does what it's supposed to do. I agree. It's not fun. It's not fidgety. It's not supposed to be anything special. But you're paying for the history of behind it. You're paying for the quality. You're paying for the name, and it's made here.
right.
Whether that's worth it to you or not is up to whether you buy it or not. Same as we're saying. Same as where they're saying that the value of this is not necessarily worth it for most people. For somebody who supporting this, someone who wants to do harm versus paying a little bit more and not.
I got to think about that, Cheeto, because I'm sure it has got some. Cheeto, you could make a little bowl of dog shit and put sprinkles on it, and you'd be good. So that's not fair. All right, what's Ryan got? Saying there's a tiny stripper sitting in front of you right now. Do you think you should get her a discounted price because where she's from? Good point, Ryan. Shane's probably going to say yeah.
Oh, I would base what I pay on. Absolutely.
Not on quality. You're gonna. So
No,
the quality of the dance.
I'm going to pay for what I'm attracted to.
So if you're paid to what you're attracted to, and I'm attracted to that knife over that ugly hinderer, that's.
Let's go back. Is this little tiny stripper trafficked?
Are they all trafficked? We don't know that. We have to take.
Not the same thing. I only got on here to say.
No, it's
I'm putting out a different point.
This has been their brand for years, and it's stupid for us to promote it. Now, do what you want. I don't care. But one day, either you, your kids, your grandkids, somebody's going to look back on it and think, man, why did we let this happen?
Okay, so all knives stop talking about Chinese knife. The Chinese knife company goes out of business. China's still got us by the ball, Shane. They own our fucking shit. We buy everything from them regardless. It's our problem. We're creating the problem. Our quest for lower price goods, or America's desire to fuck us in insurance and driving their prices up because of
insurance
greed.
has nothing to do with knives, dude.
No, but it could. But Shane, are you telling me that there are no greedy Jake Hobeck motherfuckers out there that might be the heroes to us now that are fucking us daily because of what it costs to make their knives? And I don't think it's fucking us, because if we're willing to pay it, we see the value in it. If not, people leave negative reviews, talk about their shitty HRCs, and their sales go down, and they sit on the stores, and you can find them in the shop. And then either their HRCs are going to get better, and they're going to start moving knives again.
You're right. You're right. We should just give up.
I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying anything. No, I'm saying this is a cool knife.
You're not only saying that we should give up.
No, I'm not. I'm saying we should continue to push the bar.
You're not only
make the bar lock better. Make an access lock better, Benchmade. What has America done? What has America done? All right, tell me something the American knife maker, besides small makers, the Benchmades, the Spydercos, that have done to make you go, man, American knives, for the other countries to go, this is what we need. Yeah, heat treats are great at Spyderco.
Yeah.
Why is Benchmade continue to make,
at that point in time one of the strongest locks ever produced?
Why is Benchmade keep making their access lock like they do, and Kershaw does it like this?
Well, because they can't get $400 for it.
Benchmade?
I bet they change it for $400.
No, I'm saying this knife's 160. Benchmade. This is a Kershaw USA made Magna Cut.
All right, let's
Or
go
I'm
back
talking
for a
about the
second.
church. I'm talking about the other knife you
what I'm
had.
saying is, Kyle,
Back up.
before we get into philosophy, is Benchmade doesn't give a
did
shit about
upgrade.
us and our
Benchmade did
experience in their
upgrade the
knife.
axis lock on their more expensive knives. They did
It's
it.
not much better. I've held their
They
more.
did it. No, I'm talking about
So
the
narrows.
no, the one before that.
Well, the anarchist or whatever. Yeah, Jeff had that knife. It was good. It was better. But if Benchmade cared about that axis lock, would have evolved to be somewhere close to any Chinese version of it, because they could have made it better while they were selling a bunch, but they were selling them, comfortable selling them, and they didn't do, in my opinion, product improvement. So it's a great company, but were they doing the best thing?
They also didn't sell it for $400.
What do they sell it for?
Two.
They're selling for 400 now. They're selling for 400 now.
Need them, yes. Mine is great. And
Sierra bug out's $400.
Their bug outs are $400. That's absolutely. Let me pull one out.
Sierra Rick, absolutely do not spend the money on those.
I'm not saying you can't buy a bug out for $400. I'm saying
I'm saying a regular bug out. A regular bug out has gone way up. So just the basic 535 bug out is only $190.
Right.
Okay.
So $200 less than that. And I get it. That's the
Just
scale.
the knife in my hand is $200 better than a bug out, without a fucking doubt. And then this bug out crater is $320.
Okay, John, let's see this. Is a knife in your hand worth $100 more than a TRM?
No, not in my mind. Not in my mind. Now, is the ingenuity?
There is no ingenuity. They didn't fucking
There is,
recreate the wheel.
I'm handling it, and I've handled a knife before, and I'm telling you, there's ingenuity. You can look at it and say whatever you want to. You handle it, and you're going to tell me it's different than anything you fucking handled. I'm telling you, I'll bring it to you. This is S90V. This is drop point, looks like titanium, maybe aluminum. $320.
Right.
For a bug out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
what blade still
nice
on
bug
that
out.
$400? What blade still at $400?
Maximat or Chinese Maximat. No, not Maximat. MagnaCut.
You put your reputation on that being what that is?
Yeah.
You base your reputation on that being MagnaCut.
My reputation is someone who's taking what the manufacturer says. I don't have an HRC tester or a spectrometer.
I ask you though, what steel is it?
Yes, it's MagnaCut. I don't think he would say it's MagnaCut if it wasn't. Is it USA MagnaCut? No, I don't have any desire to say it's USA MagnaCut. Have I made the definitive decision that USA MagnaCut is vastly superior to Chinese MagnaCut? It might have been yesterday, but I think China, unlike America, is willing to make changes and innovate quicker. So here are the parts of the bug out. See those there? Can y'all see the blowout?
What?
That's the $320.
No.
So it's $80 more value to me. It's a nice knife. It's a bigger knife, but I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it.
So hang on.
Yeah, the $400 bug out is S90V.
I want to.
It's still a $150 Chinese knife.
I want an answer to that. So you're saying that you're giving more credit to China for being innovative than what the actual quality of the product they're putting out?
China wasn't innovative.
No, I said China is being innovative. I add innovativeness, the innovation to the value of the knife that you guys.
This designer guy is Chinese?
No.
So China's not being innovative.
China made him what he wanted. The designer's been innovative. Miha's dad developed this for 2 years.
China had nothing to do with the innovation.
Nobody else would make it for Miha's dad. Right. After 2 years of trying to have it done.
Nothing to do with innovation. They just took his CAD and produced it.
And they did a damn good job. So right, they did not innovate.
They're really good at that.
They did, most innovations that I'm aware of don't come from the company really doing it. It's the designer in the knife world.
But you said China was more innovative than the U.S.
I think China is more innovative in the technology that they're using to make knives. I think anybody who says otherwise is not looking at the technology that it takes to make a knife. And you can look at the CNC scales on a Chinese scale versus an American scale to say that, yes, they're more innovative and more technologically investing because maybe they've stolen the thunder from American makers, but they are doing something that's making buyers say, I'll pay $350 for a stout 2 years ago, or I'll pay, and maybe that was just hype, but a lot of people, and I handled it and thought it was a good knife. I just didn't like the way it looked. A very good tool.
It was 100% hype.
I'm not saying it wasn't. I did not buy one, but I did review one, and it was a very good knife. I reviewed Tri-State's knife, and if it wasn't for the mustache, I loved that knife. I thought it was a great knife, and I don't really like Warncliffe's. Was that anything that he did? No, but it was a Chinese-made knife. And Koenig's, Lamia's, Chris Reeves are all unique in their own way. I'm just saying that, and maybe you can call it a fidget toy, but it does cut the stuff that I cut. And they, even if you don't fidget it, it feels like a very well-made knife. Is it worth $400? If the market pays for it, which I wouldn't, I couldn't. It's not for me for that price. But if they don't sell them, I bet you they either discontinue it because they can't make it for that, or they sell it for less.
Well, I don't want to get pedantic here, but we're beating around the bush, and the fact that there are certain things and morals and values that I hold higher than the value of this knife.
I agree with that, Kyle. I don't think anybody in here, even though you'll say that we do because we buy it, I think buying it for a lot of people, you buy phones and there's horrible, I know you can't get anywhere else, and there's horrible practices in every part of the country. There are horrible practices in the U.S. All caps. I don't know a lot about knives, but that doesn't surprise me, because I think to be competitive in a global economy, you might have to play cheap stuff to get into the market, but you've got to have quality at the end of the day to continue to get people to buy your product.
I completely disagree with that. China does not beat the Swiss as far as movements go. Their production scale is much greater, so they can mass produce things, but their movements are 100% not better.
I don't know anything about knives or watches, except my Apple Watch changes when it's daylight savings time. I don't have to reset it. And when I drive to Georgia,
you're 100% right, Luke. If you take that into consideration with anything that you buy, then you're doing the best you can do, and that's what I'll continue doing. But I'm going to bed, y'all. See y'all later.
Dude, don't go away.
No, I'm going to get some sleep.
Get some sleep, buddy.
Geek, I agree. Grand Seikos are a phenomenal movement.
And Shane. Oh, I wasn't disagreeing with Shane. I'm trying to learn too. And I look at, again, the market drives price more than the evil knife maker on whatever side of the fence you sit on drives it.
Okay, let me ask this then. If the market drives a price, who's driving the market?
The consumer. At the end of the day, there's no other person driving it. Yeah, you can say the person making the decisions, but a knife's not a have-to-have item.
No, I'm saying who's driving the consumer to those products?
The consumer. You can say that the billboard or the YouTuber is, but no, YouTubers don't have that much. I've never bought. They
100% they do.
They show you something, and then if anybody's an informed consumer, they then research the product because it caught their attention.
I've already discussed this earlier. They're not. They're
watching Lefty do a review and buying $400 knife that's $100 more than no, they're not. I've been Lefty's
majority of people want
audience. I review it, and I review it in terms of looking at.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you, John. I'm saying there are a lot of people who all they want is confirmation bias or to be told this is good or this is bad. They aren't going to go out there and do their own research on it. They're not going to go out there and make an informed decision. Get all the
like the same difference in a prestige, a status, a need buyer, right? So they're going to buy any product, jeans, designer clothes, a car, based on those same things to make them feel like they're keeping up with whoever they're trying to keep up with. That again goes back to that consumers being the driver of that problem, right? The consumer is malleable to see a $400 or $1,000 watch that a YouTuber shows and say, I can afford a $500 watch, but I'm going to get a $1,000 watch. and put myself in debt because it's cool, and do that with every item in their life. To then, I mean, because it's not just going to stop at watches, or it's not going to just stop at knives. You can't tell me that somebody is only exhibiting that buying behavior when it comes to knives and not on everything else in their life. And
I agree, but it's
unfortunately,
naive
that's
to
the way capitalism is set up for us to desire those things.
It's
and
naive
buy
to
those things we don't need.
It's naive to believe that people aren't easily malleable and want to be accepted, so therefore they will spend money just to do that. There are a lot of
I'm not
people
disagreeing
who
with
are
that.
buying stuff. So
That's why
a
advertising
lot,
works. I agree with that.
correct. That's why advertising works, period. But that's why a lot of customers are pushed towards certain products, especially when you go on and say Joe Schmo off the street doesn't know anything. He wants to get a new cool knife. He goes on YouTube and he wants the hottest new knives. And every single knife he is shown, this is the coolest knife, the coolest knife, coolest knife. Guess what? He's not going to do any more research. He's just going to buy it, whether it's a good knife or bad knife, right?
Hey, Cliff, dude,
What's up, Cliff?
but you should see how many comments that,
Oh,
and I think
I
more
wanted
that say that knife, whether it's American or not, is not worth anything more than that. So that guy that's seeing all those knives that doesn't know anything about a knife, but they want a knife, they will find a knife for $40. Not necessarily on YouTube, but they're not going to buy something they can't buy because that's all they see.
There was one comment I wanted to address real quick. Hang on a second. Sorry. Michael, absolutely. We're not talking about the people. We're talking about the government and the businesses. It has nothing to do with the people. I feel bad for the people. We're not attacking the citizens based off of what they're being done. So please, I hope you didn't take it that way. But we're not attacking any of their people. So I just want to make sure that was clarified. But Javon, I'm not. I think we're getting the weeds here. You know, advertising works. I think
right.
You want people to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I think unfortunately there are a ton of people who come, and that's why I am the way I am. I am very steadfast and opinionated, and I give people fact-based information. I don't want to sugarcoat things because I want them
Kevin,
to make
I was that guy. I
want them to make their own decisions.
I couldn't afford.
Yeah, Kevin, right there. I want people to have the information to make their own choices. If they want to buy a Chinese knife, I don't care. But have the information out there. Do not just go and randomly say, hey, this is the coolest knife, I'm going to go buy it. And then they just bought a $40 or $60 Voss teeth, and the next week there's a new Voss teeth that comes out that's going to be the coolest one. The next week, same thing. I want people to get, and if that's what they want, that Voss teeth is what they want, great. But there's too many people who are not informed about decisions before they buy them, and they're just wasting their money and supporting people who I don't think necessarily need to be supported as much as others. So,
and I agree, and I think people buy in factions they want to buy. And Brando, I somewhat don't agree with that because I was the buyer that bought things based on what I thought was cool, not because the reviewer said it was cool, because I liked it. But there were so many knives early on that were dropping or that were available that I thought were cool that I bought years later on the secondary because I still thought they were cool because I couldn't afford them. And I never, it's not because I didn't want to support the creator. I never clicked on a link because when I saw the knife, I'd go to different retailers and read about it. I'd go to different, and I'd end up buying it somewhere without going to the link. And for somebody who has links, I don't think people click on the links or even really read descriptions in most YouTube videos. I think they watch the video and hopefully then watch another video if they're interested in that knife and get several perspectives. The one that I think about is the Rosecraft blade one that Maddie reviewed. It was such a funny review because the knife didn't even work really, and Maddie's seen so many positive reviews on it. But you've got to watch, just like anything, any information that and I realize that the masses don't do this, but
correct.
You've got to double check whether it's social information, political information, weather information. You've got to, do a little bit of independent research.
But you're not like everyone, Javon. That's the difference. You're not like the general public. Most people don't do that. unfortunately, they just don't. Same principle of nowadays. Why does everyone want to read a headline and not read a story and think they know everything? It's because they want the quick information. They want someone to tell them how to think, someone to tell them what to buy, someone to tell them what to do, 15-second shorts instead of watching a video. If people would put in the time to make an educated decision, there wouldn't be issues. But that's my point as far as what I'm getting at. Your way of purchasing is not like the general mass. And I think the way you do it is like how I do it, and a lot of people should do it, is being informed. That's all I was getting at. Was I don't want people to make snap decisions and just go buy something because it's hyped up. And a majority of reviewers push into that hype. They take a knife out of the box, look at it, haven't even touched it or anything. Oh, this thing's cool. This is the coolest knife ever. Blah, blah, go buy it.
And I will
They've never touched with it. They've never tested it.
I will take full responsibility for trying to, when I show a knife, point out the things that are cool about it. I'll also point out things that are not great about it. However, I have a big input into what I look at. And I've never, and would never, even if I thought it was the greatest knife, I don't say this is the greatest knife. I say this is a good knife. In some cases, I'll say I approve of this knife. I would buy this knife. And when I say that, I would buy the knife. I don't say that on many videos. And I know you're not talking about everybody in general.
Right. And that's something I think that you're, no offense, but I think you're taking it personally. And this is not directed at you or your channel. This is directed as a whole for the masses. A lot of channels do that. If you notice, I don't go to a lot of live streams. I go to people who I know aren't doing that because I don't want to be any part of that.
And I agree with that 100%. And I think the people, and it kind of goes to what Palmer's saying, using a better word, that there's some people that like to be told what to get and it's still their decision. So I think there's certain live streams where that practice happens a lot, because it is like keeping up with each other. We are all in a tribe together, right? Even if we're all making a silly decision. But I don't know if that's more the norm or the fringe. I think of Metal Complex and how he's always reviewed videos. And I know he's been responsible for a lot of knives that probably, are questionable. But I feel like he doesn't hype everything. He gives a lot of negative reviews too. And would there be a profitary reason that he would give a good review to a knife that he didn't truly think was a better knife than one that he didn't think was a good knife? Because he's got relationships with both companies. I just have a hard time thinking that people are that shady.
I don't.
Yeah, it's just, and that the best knife thing, I totally agree with. There is no such thing as a best knife. There might be a best value knife for this use or that use. I agree. Geek Machinist, I threw him out there because he was big. And if I threw Melissa Backwoods out there, she's a totally different business model. She's a totally different entity.
She's solely trying to sell knives.
Well, but her, she's got a production manager, a manager. She comes from the entertainment world. So her scale, everything that she does is purely advertising. That's different than I think most knife reviewers. Because
she's also not giving a fair basis of a review. She's charging.
No, she's giving an advertisement. She's you're buying an advertisement from someone who's credible, just like getting an actor who used to do those old commercials about denture stuff, right? They've never used it in their life, but they're saying it's the greatest stuff to use. That's different.
But people are thinking that they're going to her getting advice on buying a tool.
But if you look at her, not that anybody ever looks at their stuff, all you have to do is look through her bio or look through her description. She's not hiding the fact that it's all of her, I don't know if her rates are in there, but to call her product department or whatever, she's got departments where I think someone could find out. Now, you're right. Most people aren't going to find out, but I think U.S. buyers and buyers all around, especially with things getting crazy, need to be more informed. And you've got the tool right in front of you with the computer to get more information. Find a product that's just as good but costs a third of the price. What's going on? Said Stevie. Said Stevie. I was telling Maddie earlier. I don't know if he was in here, but there's a young lady friend of mine who lives over in a southeastern state, and she and I swap music. We've been friends for years, and she started getting into the YouTube channel and had been to a couple of lives and old lives, and said she wanted to come to a live. And what other content should she watch? And I sent her to said faction and you and Maddie's page. So if you see a new young lady pop in there, I don't know what her name would be, and I'm not going to dox her. She's just looking for people to hang out with and to learn a little bit about knives. I think she's more about the people than the knives. But you and Maddie were the people I put her on so she could get the shock value. See, I used to buy a lot of knives from Blade HQs. Now they were budget knives, but like I think the CRKT CEO was one of the first knives I bought, and it was after watching a Blade HQ live. And at the time, I was brand new to YouTube, and I knew Blade HQ was a store, but I kind of thought of it like I used to think of that show that Cole watches on his stream where they just showed knives all the time. I used to watch it at home when it was on the cable. I didn't buy knives from it, but I knew what Blade HQ's intention was when they were showing the Penguin and the CRKT CEO and stuff like that. And I did buy those without doing more research because the retailer was showing them to me, and I was just kind of getting a look at them. And you've also got return policies when you deal with the Blade HQ or somebody like that. But, you know, I realize that we get influenced. I'm convinced that the only reason I bought a slip joint was because of Lefty. And that kind of started me down that path. But I take responsibility for liking that slip joint or finding something about the slip joint that I either wanted to fit in, which I don't think it was that, or I thought they were just kind of a different knife for a while, where I continued to buy them. I don't anymore. I've kind of graduated out of it, but I don't think it's because I'm seeing less coverage of slip joints. I think it's just because we're all unique in our buying efforts. But I do think everybody should be educated. What I wonder is how fast the landscape is changing. And when I say that, the capabilities of what products are coming out of China in the knife industry, how incrementally better are they getting each time? Or are they getting better? I would have to think that being any company, take the government out of it, that you have to make your product, especially if the market's giving you feedback, you've got to go to different things. And I seem to see that with S45 being used by Kaiser, whether it's, we know it's not, it's an analog of S45. And you're seeing, just different things that I would think that information is coming from somewhere that's consumer driven, consumer requested.
I'm not saying they don't listen by any means. I mean, they listen, but again, I'd rather spend more money and get the real thing. Like I'm not.
I would too, and it's not that much more. And for example, this is a Big Idea Design Company Lookout, made in Chattanooga, Tennessee, out of MagnaCut. I think you can get this knife for $235. You can buy this same exact knife from Big Idea Design Company that was OEM'd overseas. It has a titanium scale, but it's like $35 less. So it's not for a fixed blade, it's not night and day. And I would buy the USA made 100 times over in MagnaCut over in S35VN. But I was surprised that it didn't cost that much more when they started making them themselves. I expected it to go up closer to a $300 knife, You would think that if you bring something from overseas, because a knife that I think is very overpriced are the Griffin Co. knives, the Griffin Co. fixed blades or the Vero fixed blades.
Well, that gives you an idea of the margins, though, John.
Correct. And I'm not saying that.
I want to say hi to people when you're done.
I'm just saying that if if Vero put them out to market based on some kind of market research and they continue to sell, would Vero be doing a Robin Hood thing if he lowered the price, or would he be just making a stupid business decision?
No, he already made his bed.
Well, but I think his bed was made, or someone like Vero, right? You come in, you've got some kind of name recognition from something, which I guess Vero's only been in the game for about 6 years, though, hadn't he? So he came in with a really good design, and marketed it well. I don't remember where I heard about Vero knives.
What's up,
I guess
Kevin?
it was YouTube.
What's up, Kevin? What's up, Stevie, Jesse? A couple people I missed. Todd, Knife Nut, Josh.
Hey, Todd, I don't think I said hey to you, buddy. I'm gonna have to call Shane because I hope he's not mad at me.
I don't think so. I think he was just tired of arguing it.
We weren't. I didn't think.
Well, I'm not arguing, but like it was
getting different. Because you got to admit, we always say there's black and white. I believe that, and you believe that. But in the knife game, you can have a very valid, strong, committed opinion. Shane could have a very strong, committed opinion. I could have a very strong, committed opinion. People in the chat could. And I don't think there's any of us that are judge enough to say that there's only one way to do it right in a global economy. Since we're in a global economy, I think, those choices exist for a reason.
Oh, okay. Then you clarify your standards. You put it into categories and say, okay, if this is what is important, these are the criteria that need to be met. Then it becomes black and white. If it is just completely open to whatever, then yeah, you're going to find gray areas. But that's why you have to make definitive, lines in the sand as far as where you're willing to cross and not cross. And that is kind of what we were trying to get to, but you kept getting convoluted and going back into different sections. And it's like, to me, whatever someone buys, cool. I don't give a shit. I just want you to have the information and decide what's important to you.
I think the side point I was trying to make is U.S. companies that are selling not just discretionary purchase things have, made a business model out of going to what the market will bear, the very, the edge of that, and maybe right inside if you want to come in and break into a new market. But American companies don't treat the consumer any better, in my opinion, than an overseas company. Now, yes, the money goes maybe to a more nefarious place. I don't know that because I've not watched that money. I just know that American companies are very quick to screw you.
Well, hang on a second. How do you say you don't know that it's going to nefarious causes when they flat out came out?
I don't know. No, I know. Let me clarify that. What I mean is, when I look at an American company's ethical standards of how they choose their price to go to market, and a Chinese company, how they choose to go to market, I think American dollars, whether it's through taxes or whatever, are funding all kinds of different things. I don't think the government gets 100% of what the knife companies are doing. If the government has some program in place to pay or to feed, even in small quantities, their people. So part of any bit of revenue that comes in is spread out for different things. It's not all going into weapons. I don't think 100% of what they make are going into nefarious. That's what I meant.
That's the comment of the night right there.
What's that?
That's the comment of the night right there. Have you seen with that?
No.
It's this new stupid ass collectible little troll doll basically for the 21st century that are going for outrageous prices that idiots are trying to collect.
I've seen those little furry things from China that girls put on their backpacks and men that are kind of like that have been determined to have little cameras in them. That's not that though. Or they are the little labius, aren't they? They're like little.
That's little boo-boos.
They're never in stock, and people buy them and trade them like Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
And they found cameras in some of them or most of them. Oh, dude, I'm not. I totally know that, and I don't think that I try to break it down politically. I look at it from a consumer standpoint. And if everybody stood on principle, we would have a totally different discussion because we wouldn't be buying any goods from any of these countries, even if we absolutely needed them. Because if you got strong enough beliefs, I think it was horrible. I think it was horrible that we shot people at Kent State. I think, it wasn't the same scale, but I think all governments, I believe, are out for themselves and they're corrupt. And
Those
they're
are
much more, huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. I was just saying
Those are nothing alike, though.
No, I know they're not. I'm just saying,
Okay.
but I'm saying that governments, I think, all do their own shady things. I'm not saying that because the Chinese have treated their people so terribly that their knives are bad. I think if everybody boycotted their knives, if I boycotted their knives, would it make a difference? They're still selling products because we're a global economy. We've set it up to be that way.
Put it this way: if it came down to a financial decision, and not everyone, but a majority of reviewers decided to stop promoting, it would put a large dent in their sales. A large dent.
I don't know those numbers. I don't doubt that. I do not doubt that.
But there's a financial reason why that's not happening.
Kyle, if there's a 5%, I'll tell you right now, I'm working with the company to do it in person. And they don't do any kind of commissions, this company I'm talking to. But there's a 5% to 7% incentive. American companies offer the same thing. So it's just like a commission. If you send me a sale, it's like a referral fee type of thing.
I understand.
I don't think unless you're doing hundreds of thousands of views and you're pushing that there's that much of a difference. Now, I have heard that there's a certain YouTuber that's responsible for most of one company's sales. And I don't think that's because that reviewer is necessarily being misleading. I think they're good products. Not all of them are the best product, but there's a reason that they sell. And I think they're outside of just that reviewer, because I think a lot of people, I know when I was collecting knives, I would buy a knife maybe from a review and I liked the brand so much. In this case, we'll say Kaiser, because Kaiser Civivi was kind of the brands I started with. And so then I'd go to Knives and More sale page, and I would just look at the Blade Smith series that were on sale. And I'd take a risk from time to time and get another knife and be very impressed with it. And there had been no review except for the first one that got me into the brand. I think
absolutely, Todd.
I totally believe you guys. I don't want you to think that I am trying to minimize anything outside of just a simple economic knife value, what people charge for knife questions. I'm not talking about, I know I don't disagree with any of that. I'm just saying when simple economics, simple market pricing, and I think, pricing's going up. I think if the Chinese are selling their knives for more, I think there's a reason for that. And I think the reason is Americans are either craving that or the prices have gone up to manufacture that. I don't think as a business, you try to sell something at a price point where you're going to cut out so much of your market, or you're going to look at your numbers and you're going to adjust the pricing, or adjust like Spyderco did with the Rubicon 2 over the Rubicon 1, the materials, so they could price it where it would sell.
You look at what they're doing, John. Okay, you mentioned WE earlier. Take WE, for example. We said we're going to make our prices so much higher. But Civivi is our budget line, so we can't have a huge gap and have Civivi at $45 to $60, and then WE is at $300 to $400. So what do? They bump Civivi to the middle, move them to $100, and they add Syncut at the $45 to $60. So that way they still are hitting all targets of the market and just increasing their profits.
Right, but there's so many choices at that price point that Civivi's just one. And I found Civivis and Syncuts, depending on the model, can be about the same price, within $5. But I do.
Majority of them, they've got it separated where you have a beginning, a middle, and the top end. But the other side of it is they're all intertwined. So it's not like you're having a new company doesn't start up from the middle of nowhere over there and not have a tie to another company.
Oh, I know. And I do believe I do believe they're much more interconnected after learning from you guys than I ever would have thought of before. So I agree that they've got an end, so to speak, before they start.
Right. And the only way that they have an end is because they're allowed to have an end via the government. So therefore, they're being prophesized to pay the government to make more money off of.
I noticed that yesterday when I was showing it to Richard Hopkins. Sobeck, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, that wee banter's cheaper than the Civivi banter. The baby banter. But go ahead.
No, it's all right. I'm not that.
And Todd, that's true. And that's kind of where my point was going, is a company's kind of responsibility, whether you're a small company or a large company, is to offer the best value in your vertical or your market at the best price, which means you're going to try to be competitive to the other prices in the market. And what sets those market prices, in my opinion, are, yes, a company asks for it, but if consumers turn their back and say no, there's going to be a company that's going to come in that's going to offer the same product or something similar for what the customers will say yes to, and the markets will adjust to where.
John, but when you start your prices so low, like as they start out, when they first came out, it was mostly clones and budget stuff.
Sure. $30, I'll say.
Right. Then they started increasing and getting better and better and better, right? Well, as they do that, they gain more and more market share. Okay. As they control more of the market share, they dictate pricing. As more people go to them for OEM work, they dictate more pricing. So now they can raise those prices gradually, as they have over the past 5-6 years, to the point where they can charge what is not technically, based on how we're looking at it, value-wise, not a good value, and still get away with it because they have bred that into the consumer as that is the value price. So it has nothing to do with if it has value or not. It's the perception and the perceived value that they've created by taking over that market share.
I agree with everything you're saying, except for the fact that they control that. I mean, if they offer a knife and they keep creeping it up and up and up, there's going to be a place where that's how markets that's how people come into the market. There's a place where people either complain, don't buy, their numbers go down. They can look at that weekly. They can look at it monthly. So they're very plugged in to what people will buy. I don't think Americans, or anybody for that matter, are not looking at other options all the time, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously. So Hinderers aren't going up in price or haven't in years, but these Chinese are creeping up and up and up. With that, with the exception of some of the Wiis, and some of them are integrals, you're not seeing more value. In some of them, one of them that I've not given much of a look to, this one seems like it's got more than just a Wii that's gotten higher in price. I don't know how you would determine what the price of any good or service would be without knowing what the market will bear. And is that too simple, or am I not making sense, or am I missing something? I don't know why Chinese companies should be any different than American companies in terms of working to a market scale, to what the norm is for now, or what the norm for this expectation level is.
I think that you're giving them too much credit as far as whether they care what the consumer or end user thinks. They're trying to make sales, period.
Right. So if they're trying to make sales, period, that's exactly
they don't care
what
about
I'm
value.
saying.
They don't care about value.
Right. So if they've got a $400 knife and it's on the market, And
No.
people are like, nah, I'm not going to pay that much for it. And they see their sales dip 15% in a quarter. I think they care enough as a company or as a country to try to find out how do we adjust it to put more value in the knife to where it sells, or we have to reduce our price to what is being consumed in the market, because it all boils down to dollars and cents.
Wouldn't it be
Value.
simpler for them to take that money that they could be lowering their prices and throw it into marketing and advertising to get those prices to stick and say, yeah, it is a good value. And this is a great.
You can't move a market like that, though. It's been proven that you can have an overpriced or a price that's out of range in the market and throw all the advertising behind it, and it's not going to make people that can't justify that. I don't think no matter how good the advertising is, that you can justify what somebody's able to pay.
No, I'm not saying what they can afford. I'm saying what they're willing to spend. There's a big difference between what
That's what
I
I mean. The same thing. They're mentally, all the commercials in the world. If I'm not going to buy a $400 knife because I've said that's ridiculous, that price needs to come down. I'm seeing other options that are the same value or better that are much less. And that company that's got the higher price knife, instead of changing their price, sends it out to every reviewer to say the same thing. I'm instantly going to know it's a panic move. I think a new user who didn't have the money but loved the knife is not, because they get reinforced with Super Bowl ads, YouTube ads, that, yeah, it is worth $400. And if they do, that's Darwin's theory of people. We have too many people here that are doing stupid shit on a lot of different areas.
What I was getting at, John, was, say you have a $280 perceived value knife, okay? And if that knife is marketed, you can bump that knife up to $350, $400 through marketing. I'm not saying you're taking a $60 knife and making that $300 knife. I'm saying there are jumps that you can make in marketing. I can tell you companies right now that are not paying, or that are selling knives for sub $300 that cost the same as the knife that you're holding right there.
We can look at it. Yeah, I mean,
it comes down to the end. So, and again, you're saying that knife is getting marketed at $400. That knife is getting OEM'd for the rough amount that we guessed.
Right.
But it's not being marketed. It's being marketed by the actual boutique.
Well, I think about this. There's a company that we all know, and there's several of them, a couple of them, that are making knives for a very low margin to show that it can be done and delivering quality that we all agree on. But there's still companies that are selling them really high. For whatever reason, the market's reacting to them by buying them as well. So to me,
let me throw this out there for example, and yeah. I'm not gonna the numbers because that's not my business, not his place. This knife very easily could have been marketed and sold as a $400 knife.
Correct.
It wasn't intentionally.
Correct. And we know why.
And this knife is a better knife because of that, not because it cost us less, but because it did more for his company than it did by him selling it at $400.
Absolutely. For his company, it did. It was a brilliant move. And it's going to lead to him being able to inch his pricing up, because I think the end goal is to get a knife that he's got the recognition. I think it's only right that as that knife gets refined over generations of the knife, and as prices in the market change, it's expected that it's going to go up in price. I expect that.
That I don't know if it's going to go up in price, or would you rather say, I'd rather sell 5,000 of these at this price or sell 1,000 at a higher price? You look at how you can affect the market and brand recognition and get your name out there. What is more important to your brand? And then you look at not the cost analysis and what it takes to get into it. Sell-through is more important in retail sales than margins. If I can have a product sitting on my floor and I know every 30 days I'm going to sell out completely, and I don't have to worry about it sitting there collecting dust, I'm going to take a lower margin and sell through it every single time.
Absolutely, because you don't want to have it. You don't want that
You don't want
inventory
old
to
stock.
age. Correct.
You don't have old stock doing it, period.
Correct.
So it becomes every day you have it sitting on your floor, it becomes less and less valuable. So I would much rather have sell through than I would have any sort of 10% higher margins or whatever it may be.
Right. And we know that there are companies, small and big, that are working both ways. They're choosing to go much smaller production runs, and some that are deciding to go with much higher production runs. Right. And it's just a different philosophy. My point is, you've got people that'll buy a great value knife, like an MBK, that I think is one of the best values out there now, or one of Sharif's knives. And then people are still, I don't know, because the numbers haven't come out. We might see knives go back down to under 300 because they're not selling at this price. The Wii's aren't selling at $380 or $420. But if the market responds with that knife seems like it's worth it to me, I don't think that value has been created by a YouTube guy or by Blade HQ video. I think that's the type of purchase when you get to that price. Now, impulse buys, value knives, I can see that because I can be watching a video and buy a knife. I think there are very few people, unless it's relative and they've got expendable cash, that are doing it on that type of price knife. Whether it's a $400 knife, $800 knife, or even a $300 knife, there's a little more thought that goes into it. I don't think it's just the video, but I could be wrong.
There are a lot more people that have expendable income than you think. And I think, especially in a hobby like this, there definitely is that. And that's why a lot of people are swayed to do that.
Well, and to me, that is finding the perfect market point, that you've got a clientele that they're buying things that they don't need, that are discretionary, like jewelry, where we know they're huge markups. And it makes them feel better. They like it for whatever reason. It cuts it. They like the style. And the price did not affect consciously their bottom line. So they could see the value in that knife. But that's going to happen in either American or Chinese knife. My whole point is, I don't think they're doing it to continue, that we're going to just continue to spend more money because that's what's being offered. I think there are going to be people that come into the market that say, no, we can do it for much less. That's crazy, because that's how you get an advantage in the marketplace. American companies are doing it now. I mean, Kershaw's doing it and, starting to do it in the Bel Air. Now they're offering, I think, the Iridium in Magna Cut, USA made. They just need to all get better at doing bar locks or do a different type of locking system.
What's up, Matt? So, like we were talking about, there's a company we mentioned earlier that I'm not going to put on blast necessarily, but I know for 100% fact that their knife costs less than this to manufacture.
Sure.
And they're selling it for $400.
And I think that that's a different plan to go to. Whether I like the company or not, I don't say bad company. I say that's a different plan. They're doing it different than I would. They're doing it different than Sharif does.
It was because
the market is buying their knives and seeing the value and not returning them right away and continuing to buy them. They are selling them irregardless of what they cost at what the market thinks they're worth.
It's
kind of like when they make a raw for 15 cents and sell it to me for $12 or whatever.
It's not the value. It's what you're told the value is. So that knife that I'm speaking about that brand was created as a hype brand, hype knife. Therefore, it solely was driven upon hype. And that's how they got and maintained client bases. Now they have definitely slowed down, and now they're in the position where they can't afford to drop pricing because they have created that persona and image of their brand at a certain price point. So
correct.
Therefore they're stuck. They're in a bad position now that they can't come out with something and be like, hey,
they tried to come out with two somethings and they hurt themselves worse. The one I'm thinking of. So
that's why I'm saying looking at a value-based versus just profit. I want everyone to make money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying.
Oh, I know you're not, and I know exactly. I'm listening to you and just agreeing. I think we're about to come to a market correction conversation.
Correct, and I think that a lot of that, again, in my mind, comes down to educated decisions and people not listening to that hype.
Right.
Oh,
but and there were
I didn't catch that, but Luke is correct. The fact that if we can get more people about learning and making educated decisions, and if they still choose it, so be it. That's great. More power to them. But at least they're making the decisions based upon what is actual, not just what is hyped. And I think if more people took that approach, more people would be happy long term. They wouldn't be necessarily having to buy knives all the time and flip them and get this and that because they're unhappy or unsatisfied or have to have the latest and greatest.
I think
a lot of that is driven from influencers,
or it's driven by seeing if you're following a newsletter from a manufacturer.
Right, same thing.
There's a lot of things. So there's people that are unsatisfied, and I think it's more that something new came out. And the way I buy like an addict buys. And I was also and am the dad of a daughter. She's on her own now, but I know when I was buying brand things that she had to have, I wasn't getting better quality. I was buying her perceived status or whatever. There was no other really intrinsic value there, but it was happening over and over and over. And that's why you have good budget brands come into the market and make a sting, and it all corrects. It's happening with the company we were talking about earlier. I think it was from oversaturation as much as anything else. The one thing that I question is the initial hype got them possibly sold, but there was a perceived value when people bought them that they continued to buy them at that price. And
that's not the same company I'm talking about. I know where you're going. That's a different company. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, that they have to have some quality to be able to be hyped. There's not a disagreement there. The disagreement comes into the fact that people are being misled as far as saying this is the latest and greatest. And if you look at who is doing the oversaturation, who's doing the most overpopulation of the brands, it all stems from one place. American companies aren't putting out a new knife every single day, or they're not dropping 30 brand new knives every month. You know what I mean? That comes from because they're throwing things against the wall, see what sticks.
But they oversaturated the Praetorian. That's a great example of a knife that was,
and it went away for a long time.
Well, it's still out there anywhere you want to go, but they quit making them because they realized that the market they had to correct.
Correct. But that's the point. The other market or the other players in the market don't. They just keep throwing things, and people keep thinking they're getting something new or better when it's the same old shit, and it's just a different name and a different look slapped on it. So,
but is that because we buy from emotion and from dopamine? I've always said I did. The reason I've got so many knives around me is because I was more excited into what was coming in that was getting pushed to the back of my case. Is that the fault of, I think that's an insatiable appetite that certain collectors or enthusiasts, and we don't all operate like that. I used to operate like that, but I don't anymore. But that's why I did, is because it's kind of like, and I've never been into jewelry, but I would assume, or I've never been into shoes, but I would assume it's something kind of like that, that it's not because you bought something bad. It's because you're kind of addicted to buying those type of goods.
Yeah, it's the same principle we talked about before. Is for good or bad, there's an addictive personality trait to collecting. Well, it doesn't matter what you're collecting. It's an inherent trait. And if you take that with someone who has maybe addiction issues in the past, like a lot of the community has, myself included, then you are on a roller coaster of a ride that potentially could get crazy. But like we mentioned before, And one thing that I hate seeing is, dude, there are so many people that I've seen in the last 4 years in chats that sit there and say, I got to sell my knives. I got to make rent. Why the F are you buying knives? You need to priorities. Look at what, make the right decisions, but they want to be in here to be part of the community and be influenced.
And I see that. I know exactly.
I hate it. I hate it.
It's
and
unfortunate.
I know for a fact that if they weren't part of this community, they wouldn't be wasting money on that. Granted, they may be wasting on other shit, but they wouldn't be wasting on that.
My point is they'd be wasting on something else, because that's goes
potentially
personal responsibility, because I don't think there's enough power in someone's words. You should go join a cult at a church. I can see how preachers can maybe do that because people are susceptible to it. And if you're going to make yourself that susceptible to absorbing knives, the best lesson to learn is to touch the stove of bankruptcy and burn your hand, because I think I don't think if it wasn't for knives, that person, and I'll put me in that position because that's how I bought, wouldn't be buying guitar equipment, or wouldn't be buying smart home equipment, or wouldn't be buying, I'm trying to think of what other crazy hobbies I went through. It was still my fault up to me.
Right, I agree. And so what Shane and I were trying to get at, going full circle, is holding everyone accountable, being accountability, and these companies holding them accountable for the quality that they're making, the pricing models that they're going after, how they're being either transparent or not transparent with their customer base. All of that comes down to the consumer having the most information and rights. I think that holding these people accountable brings more to the community than buying more knives. If you can get, I've done this in the past, if you can get your knife collection down to where you have a reasonable amount, say 20, 30, 40, and a handful of them that you carry on a regular basis that are, your everyday ride or dies, you'll be much happier than if you had 100 or more knives. It's because you need to get to the point where you don't need anything. You enjoy it and you want something to have differently. And if you want something differently, you get rid of something you don't need or don't want.
And I agree with that. And from my personal experience, that was kind of a process that I went through. And I can remember each kind of turn along the way of changing and buying differently, and then desiring differently. I mean, going from things that I didn't think I'd want, that weren't anything I could afford, to being all of a sudden, it wasn't because of my income changing. It was because of my buying habits and my trading habits changing. I was able to do that. But I don't think it's for everybody. I think people collect for different reasons, right? And for me, and I think for everybody, we're kind of on a hike and we take different paths along the way. Information is out there. And there information, I'm sure, on forums, on websites. Don't believe. I think the purpose of a review, and that's why I talk about how knives make me feel. I'm not a cutting guy. I'm not a hard use guy. But I think a knife review's place is to let somebody see something that they haven't seen. I do it top down, no editing, just here's a knife. Here's what I think about it. Pretty cool. Take a look at it if you're interested. If you're not, don't. I mean, it's just kind of show and tell. I don't think, and I know some people will have their thumbnails be the best knife of this, best knife of that. And I have found a knife that, in my opinion, and I did a video about it, the Seagull from Kaiser was the best budget under $100 knife for what it was for me as a user. And I made that clear. Have I touched many of those knives? No. And I admitted that. So,
right. You're being reasonable. You're being fair and giving an opinion on something that but you're also not saying, hey, this is the greatest thing, you have to go buy it, and misleading someone just to get a potential click through on your links.
Correct. And I'm trying to think, and I'm sure that they're those that do that, but I'm trying to think how I would respond. And if I've heard that, but to me, I would be, and I know maybe I'm not typical, but I feel bad for the person that would be influenced by somebody saying that to buy it without doing more research.
Oh, that happens every single day in every single live stream. Someone's doing that, John.
Oh, I know, and it's happening across all kinds of different verticals.
Correct.
I
Correct.
realize now they've got whatever that whatnot is. I don't even know how that works, where people are selling stuff, and I know companies are using it too. So I know it's a short attention span. Get it done now. Here.
Well,
Oh,
the key to that is what you're getting referrals based off of. The more people you sign up, then you get referrals off of that. So it's just another scheme just to get more people hooked on something.
now what? Now help me with that. More referrals.
Yeah. So like, say you sign up for that and you want to go on and bid on some auctions, then you get a link too. And if people start using your affiliate link to join, then you get a cut. You get a commission basically for having someone else join.
You mean buy something?
They're trying to grow the platform, so they're giving out bonuses basically the more people you sign up.
Oh, you're talking about like subscription services.
No, I'm talking about Whatnot. I'm talking about
Whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like StreamYard has this thing right here that I can click. Y'all don't pay attention to this, but they're trying to get us to promote StreamYard. So I can click a button and that message right there comes up. And if somebody clicks on that and joins StreamYard, they'll get a $10 discount and I'll get like a free month. So that's pretty much all along the board. I mean, people do that all the time. Let me get rid of that. Got a ban user and put him in timeout. I wonder if I can ban myself. But no, it's that's spreading to me because I've bought when I signed up for Evernote a long time ago. I've still got a membership. I don't know why. I paid $29 a month for that. Yeah, I got the big one. But there was a buddy I worked with who I noticed how they were using it, and I used his sign-up code because it saved me $10 or something like that, and gave him a month free or something. I don't know if people who would be led by a parasocial relationship to do stuff like that, but I'm sure there are, because like I say, I watch people donate money to this guy who I hate watch his shows because I'm demented every day. And it's probably the same 30 or 40 people that keep donating. What's up, Dane? I saw somebody say hey to you. Richard, on to switch subjects, Kyle, he might have more fixed plays than me. We never counted them, but it was, I was blown away.
Damn.
Apache cases 3800s.
Yeah.
If you took all the foam out except for the bottom piece and just stacked them like hash browns, it was, I would guess it's 60 pounds, maybe 70. And I might be weak, so I might be under, it might not have been that heavy, but just full of small, cool fixed blades that I hadn't seen. This, fire hardened knives, small maker. His, what I liked about his, you read about his knives and it says cut out, shaped, grinded, finished, packaged, and shipped from the USA. So he doesn't make you wonder what made in the USA means. He's got it all right there that I'm basically it. Dude, that sounds very cool. What is a frost trapper? What's the material on the handles? Is that bone?
Anyone
frost trapper's a slip joint, right?
Anyone looking for a Hender?
I'm reading Geek Machinist.
No, I just found a deal and need someone to buy this, so I don't have to buy it.
If it's a great deal. What is it? Which flavor? I can't buy it, so you're safe. Paul Mills. Thank you, buddy. The double man hug. What is it, Kyle? Have you bought it yet, or is it still available?
That's still available. I haven't bought it yet. It's a XM18 S45. It's a spare point though, but it was reground by Brian.
Oh wow!
They want 325 or offer best offer.
I guess they're taking. And to me, Brian's hollow grind is value for most people. That takes value off the knife.
Yeah, that's $110 regrind.
Why don't? Does it look good?
Yeah.
Can you afford it?
I mean, yeah, but I
Well,
don't
buy it.
I don't need it. That's
you
going
can
back.
always sell it or sell another knife if it's one that catches your attention and it's a good price. Good example. That knife I did a video of today. What the? Sorry, guys, I'm having cat problems. The knife I did a video of today, that Rubicon 2, it was only made from 2016 to 2019. My buddy in Huntsville bought it. He didn't need to. He bought it because it was such a good price, and he knows he could sell it if he needs to.
You know, speaking, we're talking about, because I like looking at wheel and deal and secondary stuff. The one of the overseas knives that has actually gone up in value recently is the Gen 2 Jaeger.
Really? That's the one I think. Is that the Jaeger M, or is that the one before the Jaeger M?
Yes, the Jaeger M, the Gen 2. Not the 3 is the one with the funny pivot.
Yeah, this has got mine's got the round pivot.
Yeah, the 3 has gone down in value. The 2 has gone up, and especially just the plain tie, not the inlay one. Those have gone up. I've seen them going there like 275 to 300 pretty consistently.
Yeah, that's a good gauge of what, Yeah, that's a beautiful knife. I carried mine 2 days ago. It's one that Richard, because I let him take knives back to where they were staying out in the camper just to experience, and he just wasn't a huge fan of that one. Everybody likes different stuff. That what was so interesting is we liked very different knives. I'm smelling a fart. I don't know if Puck came by and just farted on my head. I don't see that. You got gas, buddy? Man, I'm sorry, guys. That was distracting. That was eye-watering.
Just dropped a deuce on your console behind you.
No, I've checked everywhere. There's no deuces. He did a weird thing that he bumped over here. It doesn't smell. It smells like just a fart. I don't know. I'll have to deal with that later. But there's just, I've been so out of looking at knives that it's hard for me to really know. I'm getting ready to look at a lot more knives, but I think there's so many facets of the business that I don't understand. One of them is how brick and mortars work.
So I'm going to do a 10-minute countdown. I got to run in about 10 minutes.
Oh, dude, we're about 3 minutes away.
Okay.
We usually go about 3. I've got to figure out what this little fucking feline's doing. So today, just to give y'all a quick 1-minute thought, this cat and my cat have seemed to be getting buddies, hanging out closer together, napping close together. And I'm thinking, oh, this is getting sweet. Well, today they fucking turned into a cat ball, and each one of them has the other one's fur like caught in their quick. So they were full at it, like claws out.
Really?
Oh yeah. But they was like a quick little fuck you fight, and then they hung out in 2 boxes next to each other. So I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But I do smell a fart. A stinky one. But anyway, I probably just need to play with him. Get him doing something. I did get crop dusted. Y'all saw him jump over me, and he did some weird thing in this corner right over here where he got either stuck on something. That's what made me know he was back there. And that's when I smelled it. So I hope the bastard spray, but it didn't smell like spray. Who knows? But yeah, Kyle, you jump whenever. I'll sit here for a little while as long as people want to hang. I don't want to.
What my dog's wanting to go outside, so
I rarely smell them. Dude, you don't know how much I do appreciate when you share and everything that you say. I don't disagree with it. I always I ask the other side of the question because I always try to see it different ways. And I'll reach out to Shane after this because I don't want to ever him think that I'm equating value, but all I have is, and it's not that I don't trust y'all. I don't know because I haven't seen it happen. I haven't tested any of it. I know people cut with it or did, but I have to think that things advance, right? That people get better. And I don't know the value of knives like y'all do. What I do know is when I do an overview on this knife, this is literally unlike anything I've seen. And I'm sure, like Shane said, it's not that different, but and I'll try to get some pictures of it because to me, it's very different in the way it engages. And I'll even compare it to some bar locks. And it's just, like I said, a drawing that made it different, but more of that.
Like I said earlier, I wasn't taking anything away from Miha or his father. Like I like a lot of his design. That was the first thing I said about it. I just don't think the value there is correct. So.
And I can agree with that. Hold on a second. I don't know what's getting in this cat. I think what's happening is it needs to get its nuts off because it's only been here a couple of weeks, and I don't let it go out at night, and I think it's wanting to go wander.
Well,
but and I felt like saying something. I was going to reach out because I wonder if they're nervous about that pricing because that's well over $110 more than they've sold a knife for before. So for them, it's the high pricing. If you look at their knives, they've always been kind of in that mid range of imported knives. Whether you look at their Phantom or you look at the many of their knives, this Titan is considerably more expensive.
When he first came out, was he? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he not at like $250 to $275 on most of his stuff?
Yeah, I got it right here. Hold on, let me show you. Yeah, and they still are, and they still got that stuff in stock. So a lot of the stuff that they offer, and again, I own 2 of the knives, and I've reviewed 3 of them. Now this one's higher. This is probably one of the cleanest knives I've seen, but it was $290 roughly, which is a lot for them. It's S90V, really low profile flipper, really elegant design. But if you go and look at their knives as a whole, starting back at the Cypher, it was $275 when I bought it. The Zero was $280. I don't think they had anything. The Phantom was the one that was $205, and this one's OEM by QSP, and to me was one of their flagships. I love that knife. But then when you get up here and look at the Blackout Aeon is $90 more than the non-blacked out, and it's sold out. I don't know if it would just be them saying, well, let's just add profit. Something had to drive this cost, right? The only difference is the DLC, the satin DLC, which might be a special process. I'm not aware.
So that does cost more, but not substantially enough to make it a $90 difference. I mean, it's $15 difference. I could see it. Yeah.
Right. So see, I don't understand why I don't understand why people wouldn't go, well, I'm just going to buy one of these for $90 less because I get it either stone washed or hand washed satin. So something in the market has made people go to this. And this knife, the Titan, for one, is probably an inch longer than anything they built. It's much bigger, and then the lock, the whole back spacer is, it's just hologram MagnaCut. I don't think they've used MagnaCut. That doesn't drive the price. We know that S90V usually is around the same price as MagnaCut.
All right, buddy. I got to bounce my.
All right, bud.
My dog's
I'll be here for a few more minutes, and I'll calm everybody down and apologize, and I'll be out of here too. But have a great night, buddy.
All right, man.
Later. Love you. What's up, Zach Stuff? Who is Mr. Mister? Mr. Mister has been around for a while, and you came in late, Zach. Our whole conversation has been about the cost value of a knife. But it is a young man named Mihai and his dad. I think they live over in West Tennessee, and they've been designing knives for probably four years since he got out of school. And he and his dad work together, and they have different designs. So this is his website. And I think the first knife they did was the Cypher D, which is one of Mihai's design, which is just a very thin, kind of like a TRM, but longer. I think it's Best Tech OEM. Yeah, Best Tech was the OEM. M390, carbon fiber, either a drop point or a Tonto. And then his second knife was one of his dad's designs, which is this Zero. I own both of these. I bought both of these knives. And this one's very unique because it has just the one pivot and the one tail screw, and it's got a very low profile little flipper tab, but it's got really snappy action. And then they came out with the Phantom for $205, and they sold all these. They're not a big maker by any stretch. And they've just dropped this knife that came into me to review that I've got to send back to him as soon as I get through it. But it's priced much more. It's a $400 knife. But it's also uses a new locking system that is kind of, instead of being a traditional bar lock like a Benchmade or a clutch lock, it uses a coil spring. And it's got a little thing that pushes this whole area back, which is basically what the bar pushes in with an axis spring. The difference is you've got a coil here, and you can do it from the side or from the top. But it gives it a different feel because the coil spring and the mechanism itself makes the knife feel much more substantial. But it's Magna Cut, hollow ground, made by Best Tech, and it's crosses that $400 or right at that $400 mark. Where, you know, there's some Wii's that are $400, and we were just talking about how that could be possible. And my whole point is that's what the market's dictated it be, or it wouldn't sell. And that says Magna Cut on the spine. But it's that's who Mr. Mister is. And this is Mr. Mister, and this is just their newest design. And it's, to be honest with you, even though it's out of my price range, it's my favorite knife they've made. It feels really good in the hand. Yeah, they're it's one of those, you know, US dad and son that design and have, I think their whole relationship's been with Best Tech, with the exception of the Phantom, which ironically was $95 less. And it was a very good knife. I don't think they sell a whole lot or order a whole lot. They're a smaller batch kind of dad and son operation, but cool knives. But yeah, it was just an interesting night just talking about, I think I get bad because of my squirrel brain of confusing the conversation, but I wasn't trying to even look at it politically, even though you kind of have to. I was looking at it just market and what drives a price that somebody's willing to pay. I don't think it's influencers as much and companies saying we're going to make people buy at this price. I think the market has a sweet spot that people equate with value. And I think it comes from more than somebody just showing a knife on YouTube to say, I want to spend $100 more than that knife's worth. If the knife's not worth it, my thought is the market will correct and people won't buy it. And the knife will either go down in price or be discontinued. Like the Rubicon 1 versus the Rubicon 2 in Spyderco that I learned about when I reviewed that knife from my local knife company, which sold today to my buddy from Huntsville because he felt like it was grossly underpriced. I agree with him. That Spyderco Rubicon 2, which is a 2016 to 2019 production. I learned about the Spyderco wiki. I didn't know that existed. There's a wiki site that that gives you history on all kinds of Spyderco knives. But this guy, let me go to it. It's a Peter Carey design. Very unique flipper knife. Titanium liners. $286 new. Again, that was back in 2000 and anywhere between 2016, 2019. S30V made in Taichung, and it was $235. And I don't think it had ever been used. I mean, the clip didn't have a scratch on it. It's just an interesting knife, interesting blade shape. Not everybody's jam, but the flipper works really well. And it was one of the first flipper knives. I think it's Peter Carey's flipper design. They call it something. And Peter Carey's a famous, not familiar to me. I have one of his knives, an MBK Turbo, is a collaboration with Peter Carey, but I think he did the whole flipper tab thing. I think he's one of the pioneers of that on a knife. Night, Paul Mills, channel member, my brother from another mother. Have a good night. Have a good night. I totally agree with that, Todd. And I have 2 Chinese companies and 2 American companies that send me knives that I'm able to keep. Kaiser, I give them away. Concept, they'll send me a couple of knives, not a bunch, but a couple of knives to review, to share. And I know that that's how they advertise their knives. I've got a couple of US companies. TRM works with me. TKL Knives works with me. Big Idea Design Company works with me. Several others do as well. And they do send knives out for review. I also have companies like Mr. Mister and others that send knives for me to review, but then to send back to them. Or Lucky Dog Knife Company, Andrew. You know, small makers that don't have in their marketing plan a marketing budget. And unfortunately, with knives and being a Google Ads certified guy, knives are a prohibited category. So you're very limited as a knife maker or manufacturer at how you get your product out there. You can maybe buy space in a gun magazine. You can not do a digital ad. Social media ads, you'll probably get them shut down, but you can do social media posts. And Maddie, I got you on the box checking, brother. I check the box on sponsored posts. And that's what Melissa Backwoods always checks hers. And some others do, and it's debatable. Richard, that was an interesting knife, wasn't it? Richard saw it, I think. It was a very interesting knife. Again, was it my jam? Not really. I was surprised at how sharp it was for how thick the blade stock was and how short the hollow ground part of the knife was. The hollow ground part of the knife was. Richard, this is one of the ones that came in today. I mean, a huge knife. And then this is 1931 Leatherworks, Tactical Terry. His design that he made with Concept, the Orlock. I reviewed the prototype, and Ryan Ellis was nice enough to send me one of his to do a review on. Overview to see how it compared to the prototype. And it's good, guys. This is a great design. Really tall, flat ground blade. This one's got kind of this barky rock pattern, but they've got probably 5 different configurations. And the other knife he sent me, I don't know if Zach's aware of this, but this is a Kershaw Bel Air XL, an extra large Bel Air Magna Cut. I'd never been a Kershaw guy. Ryan got me to review the first Kershaw Bel Air, and then I bought one. I liked it so much. This one's G10, but the G10 feels like Emerson G10. It feels very different than most G10, but just a fantastic knife. Spicy is an understatement. I mean, these knives are a laser beam. The blade geometry is amazing. It's super thin. I personally like a Benchmade. I think this is a great lower cost option for a Benchmade. The bug out would be more the regular Bel Air size. And Zach, if you're still in here and you have a unicorn list of Benchmades that you'd be interested in seeing if they came around, if you somehow send me that list, I'll make sure that if one comes in, you get the first call. Because this Knives and More gets some really amazing stuff because their clientele, since they've been in business in the 90s or whenever, are collectors. They're not YouTube people. They collect knives from just being knife people, engineers who are knife people, and they don't use their knives. And when they come back in, they trade, and John or Tate give them whatever their receipt said towards trade value, whether they bought it 10 years ago or not. And they really get some really weird banging stuff in that you don't see every day. They've got Benchmade aficionados that come in there, but they don't have a website. So the advantage for our audience who likes Benchmade, Spyderco's, or Protex, or customs is they sell anywhere, and I can get the message out to you guys hopefully quicker if it's a cool knife, or if you know you want something and let me know. Tate, the younger of the owners, told me he'd keep a list, and he knows who Zach is because he watches YouTube videos. But, you know, them finding cool stuff is like right now they've got a Bally song down there. It's, I want to say 15 years old. It's way too expensive, but it's number 7 out of 100. It's got these like titanium looking real flat handles. It's got a blue, like the color blue blade, kind of a flat blue blade knife. And then they've got the new Benchmade Bally songs that are, I think they're on sale on Amazon for like $800, but they're $1,200 knives in Damasteel. So the new stuff's not that impressive because anybody can get that, but some of the old stuff is very cool. And Zach, I know you've probably seen the new stuff they've got coming out this month in the next couple of days. I happened to be down visiting them, taking a knife back, that Spyderco back Monday morning when they opened a couple of packages and saw a couple of cool things that are going to be the size of the XL Bel Air is great, Zach. I like, because I'm one of those smaller guys that prefer a pair of 2 over a pair of 3 just because it fits my hand so much better. And this knife is done well. I like the aluminum better than the G10. I know the G10 is more grippy. I'm sure they'll make it in aluminum. But guys, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the week. We'll ease out of here. I hope our debating the cost of imported knives are not too distracting. But I do see, values determined by everybody differently. And I think, get what you want. And I agree with Kyle. Everybody should know what they're buying. I know not everybody's motivated by that. We all have different buying hot buttons, right? And a lot of them, me included, it's not blade steel. I appreciate that. I appreciate good stuff like that. But there are a lot of things that lead to a purchase. For me, a lot of them are emotional. I just like the way something looks, and like the Edgy American Blade Works, I couldn't afford their custom, but they had a collaboration with Concept, and I liked the look of it as ugly as it was. So that was what led to me buying it. But yeah, buy what you like. Don't ever think that when we talk about, and I know Shane's this way because we've had private conversations, we love all people equally. It has nothing to do with this group of people or that group of people. His reality, his facts come from what the government's plan is, right? Talking about a government, not a group of people. But it just makes for good conversation. And I think what we're looking for is, audience input and find out what you guys think. And maybe we'll do where we throw the link in the stream so people can jump up. I can have up to 10 people on at a time. I know we're do that in member lives when anybody can jump in the link and just chat for a little bit. We're getting ready to start doing that where it's just pinned. But everybody's got an opinion, and I don't look at it as a divisive conversations. I look at it as conversations to help me and help other people learn why we feel the way we do, because communication's good. Talking's good, and always debate, not hate. But guys, do look out for the guy or gal to your left. Do look out for the guy or gal to your right. Thank you so much for hanging with me on a Tuesday night late. I love each and every one of you. Go forward with love in your heart, and always use debate, not hate.
Late night, patty whack, give a dog a bone. Grab a snack, sit right back and never be alone. It's time for Insomniac, sit and spin. A knife live stream and a gathering of friends. Insomniac, sit and spin is about